What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 48, Old Arms and New Receivers of the Sports Hour Plus with Miller and Watson. Sorry, just scarfed down some peanut butter toast. Fun fact of pregnancy that I guess people know I didn't get terrible heartburn. So anytime I have heartburn, I'm eating toast with peanut butter and it seems to help calm it down. So, but welcome guys. Welcome in. We have so much to talk about today. Just seemingly like a week of just everything happening. Lots of decisions being made, which is exciting. So we got a lot to go on. But how was your week, Kylan?
So far, so good. For those of you that didn't know, you might not have watched the full show yesterday. I'm sorry, last week, not yesterday. Well, I had a retreat, so the retreat was fun. Got a lot of rave reviews on the podcast. Very impactful retreat. People love us. And I think that's the ultimate thing when we're both in this industry where you're doing shows and the public loves it. You gotta keep it going.
Yeah, that's always good to hear.
It was very good. Didn't go far. Just went to Cherry Hill, but it was nice to change settings a little bit from this happy background behind me to Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and it was a good time. Very impactful retreat. Church did a good job, and I'm was very very impressed. So not as much tweeting on my part being at this retreat, but it was a good time. And that's all you can, as you know, that's all you can really ask for retreats. Good time, impactful, and you feel like you left different than you came. So
exactly.
Yeah. Other than that, the week's been good. Like you said, very impactful. Seems like they're all like, well, it's getting close to Thanksgiving, so let's get the trades done now. So
I know. Let's get everybody where they need to be for the holidays and then get settled in.
Yeah, so a lot going on. But how are you? How was your weekend? How was wedding? That was the end, right? This weekend?
Yeah, our finale. It was awesome. It was one of our really good friends, Libby and Garrett. Dan was in the wedding. So it was really fun. It was great. His parents were there. Kind of a family affair. So it was super fun. As much as I love weddings, I am glad to kind of be able to relax for some weekends kind of heading in. My mom's coming up this weekend, so I'm super excited to see her. Haven't seen her in a while. We're going to do some baby strapping stuff, which will be really fun. But yeah, nothing crazy. We got a Sunday night football game that I will actually be able to be at work for, which is like the first, I feel like, in 3 weeks. I feel like I haven't been there in Stamford on a Sunday in a while. So
you don't miss it. Don't lie. You don't miss it.
Hey, there is something very nice about sitting on your couch working from home with the dogs and the husband rather than the craziness of Stamford at 1:00 in the morning. But it is always good just to be able to be there and be there in person. So I'm glad to be able to be there to help the team and do all that stuff. But should we get into it? Should we tell people to follow us on our social medias and then get right into it?
Estelle, you right there. Nice tease. That's what we call a tease in our business.
There we go. So give us a follow on X/Twitter, whatever your heart desires you would like to call it. And give us a follow. We'll be tweeting and posting about our lives and about the game. So all is good. But let's get going. We got some big news.
Don't forget to tell them to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Like, comment, subscribe, and share. I normally say at the end. I should say at the beginning as well. So Davante Adams traded to the New York Jets for a 2025 third-round pick. What's really funny is that someone broke this news to us in a production meeting 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like a PA, and then she was like, wait, no, I think I got trolled. I think somebody on Twitter was joking about this. So we've been joking about this at work for 3 weeks that Davante Adams is going to be traded to the Jets. It was one of those things where you kind of thought it might happen. Aaron Rodgers had, alluded to wanting it to happen. So, is what it is. But I think, is it going to change the Jets? No. Will it be helpful? They have another receiver? Probably, yeah, it'll be good. But here's the thing. The Jets do have receivers. They, and yes, I know they're a little banged up right now. And honestly, from what it seems, the biggest part of having Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback is keeping Aaron Rodgers happy. Because if Aaron Rodgers is unhappy, he doesn't play well. A happy Aaron Rodgers seems to play better than an unhappy Aaron Rodgers. Better being a very relative term there. But I think that he wanted Davante Adams there. You know, a 2025 third round pick.
Seems a little cheap, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, if I were the Jets, I'd get it too. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, piggybacking off that, right? I think, we said a few weeks ago when this rumors were starting that Pittsburgh, Buffalo, you and I both thought that, the Jets are kind of cap strapped, so it wouldn't make sense unless they were trading Garrett Wilson or one of their other receivers to make this happen. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers clearly must have seen this show and said, bet, I'm going to prove these two wrong. So, clearly, GM Aaron Rodgers found a way because the Raiders are just such a dumpster fire. And I say that with all due respect to the Raiders fans who watch the show, but they're such a dumpster fire that they basically traded them for a New York bodega to the Jets. And I just think this is good for Davante. I think it's good for Davante and bad for Garrett Wilson. So if you are somebody who has Garrett Wilson in your fantasy team, don't expect Garrett Wilson to get any more touchdowns for you because I'm going to tell you all the touchdowns. I'm not a New York Jets insider, but Aaron Rodgers loves him some tight ends and Davante Adams. So fully expect Garrett Wilson to not get any love now going from the primary receiver to the second receiver. And, I know the Ohio State fans that watch us will probably say, well, he's better as the second receiver and the slot receiver. But if I remember correctly, Garrett Wilson, when he was at Ohio State, he was the primary receiver along with what's his name, who's in Seattle right now. But I think he was the primary receiver. He never was a slot guy or a secondary guy. So he has always been the primary. And I think this is going to be a rude awakening for him. This is, and this is kind of getting into the next question, but this is kind of like cutting your nose off to spite your face. Like, this is a as Morgan so eloquently pointed out, right? This is a satisfy Aaron Rodgers, screw everything else move. And I think this is, it's over. Anybody who's watched Aaron Rodgers these last few weeks knows it's over, right? Like his arm is done. The kind of the old arms thing that I came up with is kind of a nod to that. Like he's done. Like, Father Time is undefeated. I think anybody that watched that Monday night game and seen him miss those throws kind of knows that it's over for Aaron Rodgers. But it's like I said on Facebook and on Twitter as well. Like, Davante Adams is good, but he's not going to mask the fact that Aaron Rodgers' arm is old. Like, he's old. He's in his 40s. It's over. Pat McAfee may like lying to him every day. I don't. It's over for you, Raj. like it's over. It's over. But, as we kind of pointed out, and I'll just tuck this because you kind of said it, like, I keep telling you, if you are an AFC team, whatever move you make, you are going to lose because if your move is not got the second coming of Patrick Mahomes, you're losing. I think this helps the Jets feel better about their contention, but they're essentially they should just call themselves the New York Clippers because that's all they're doing is moves to try to extend the window, but it's over for them. Like, there is no, like, as long as Patrick Mahomes is in the AFC, no one else, maybe except for Joe Burrow, is going to beat Patrick Mahomes. And so the Jets are an okay team that's going to be a wild card team and get eliminated in Kansas and or Cincinnati or in Baltimore in a few more months. So Jets fans, that's what you have to look forward to. Getting eliminated in Baltimore in a few months. So that's where I'm at with it, or getting eliminated in Miami. Either way, you get eliminated somewhere. Maybe you prefer Miami than Baltimore, but you're getting eliminated somewhere. Morgan, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think kind of what I said is that it's not going to change a ton. I think it's a nice little piece for them to have, but it's not going to make or break their season. They got a lot of other issues going on besides the receiver position. They need someone who can throw to the receiver as well. And I think, like you said, he wasn't not that he's not the right receiver, but he's not necessarily the kind of receiver that they're looking for.
Yep. And will the Jets going all in on Aaron Rodgers backfire? Yes, because Aaron Rodgers, like I said, is in his 40s. He doesn't have much time left in football. And then after he's done, it's going to be like a Viking situation, right? Like when they went all in on Brett Favre, but then they were kind of looking around. They were kind of screwed for the next few years after that until they got Kirk Cousins and lucked into Justin Jefferson. It's kind of what's going on, except it's a little different because, the Jets have Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. But eventually, because they'll have to pay Devontae to keep Aaron happy, they're going to have to get rid of one of those two. Jets fans, I'm just going to tell you your future. In 2 to 3 years, you will trade Garrett Wilson because you'll pick between Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, and knowing your owner, Woody Johnson, he'll make the choice of Sauce Gardner because he's an idiot. And that's no disrespect to Sauce Gardner. It's just he's not Garrett Wilson. He's a difference maker on defense, but not somebody who you can throw touchdowns to. So Garrett Wilson will leave. You'll be stuck with Davante Adams on his way out. You'll try. You won't be good enough to find a quarterback to replace Aaron Rodgers. And you've already lost what's his name from Utah, from BYU. He's not there anymore. So you don't really have a quarterback behind Aaron Rodgers. So you'll have to hope. You'll have to hope that you can find a quarterback who you can coach up. Thank you, Morgan. After Aaron Rodgers retires in the next 2 to 3 years, and you're the Jets. It's just like it's going to be depressing. It's definitely going to backfire just because of you don't really go all in on Aaron Rodgers. Even the Packers learned their lesson, right? One championship and nothing else. Like, and I know football is hard, but I mean, come on, one championship, 2 MVPs. It's kind of like Aaron Rodgers really isn't worth all of that. But that's what they have decided. So, Morgan, you got anything to add?
No, I think you covered it.
All right. So the joke here, y'all might have seen me on Facebook and Twitter. I said Billy Bean, Brandon Bean finally woke up. He must have been watching this podcast and got tired of the dude from Philly calling him out. He got Josh Allen some help. Oh my. I mean, what can I say here? I mean, Josh Allen and Haley Steinfeld must have been so happy for this because now Josh Allen finally has some help. It's aging help, but it's help. And
it's something. It is something.
It's something better than Dawson Knox. So, I can't. This is great for the Bills, great for Josh Allen. He finally has some help. It's still probably going to end in a second round exit. But the Bills and Bills Mafia get to be happy that Brandon Bean finally woke up from his slumber. Somebody must have said Kylan Watson is talking about you a lot on the Sports Hour Plus with Miller Watson because, as Morgan said, I stay on his neck. So y'all know I stay on people's necks over here. So I can't hate the move. I think it's a move that should have been made a long time ago. Should have been for a younger receiver, but hey, you take what you can get. So I'm happy that Amari Cooper is finally somewhere where they will appreciate it. Finally somewhere where he has a better chance of winning a Super Bowl with a younger quarterback who I guess actually respects women. So, I'm of the mindset that, this is a great move for the Bills, great move for Josh Allen, great move for Amari Cooper. He gets to revitalize his career with a quarterback who can actually throw him the ball. Good all around. Great for Buffalo. Morgan?
Yeah, I think this is great. I think that not only is Amari Cooper a talented receiver, he has great route running. I think he'll open up the run game a little bit. But I also think he brings some leadership to the locker room. He brings some stability. He gives Josh Allen another weapon. And I think that's just the biggest part is we know that the Bills are tight end heavy. They love throwing the ball to their tight ends. And then Josh Allen loves to make some incredible plays on his feet or with his arm. But it'll be nice for him to have somebody that can potentially, get some of those extra yards beyond the catch and make some stuff better, honestly, is the kind of the main part of it. And I know, we've all been saying for years that Josh Allen can't do anything by himself. And, he can win some games and have some MVP style moments, but the biggest thing that he needs for the Bills to be a championship contender was he needed some help. And I think this is a absolutely perfect kind of meshing of both of them together. He's such a good route runner that it will allow for Josh Allen to have more reads than just one or two. The offensive line there isn't terrible and does give him some time to play through his progressions and with his eyes. And I think that, having somebody who's a talented route runner like Amari Cooper is incredibly helpful. So does this move Buffalo to the team to beat in the AFC East? Kylan and I kind of disagree, I think, on this a little bit, but I kind of always think they were the team to beat. I think that you look at the rest of the teams in the AFC East, how could they not be? I mean, the Dolphins aren't going to do anything unless Tua comes back. I don't think Tua is coming back. The Jets, we just talked about them. They're 2-4. They're so dysfunctional right now. Could they get through and win a few more games? Sure, but they're not going to win the division. And the Patriots are garbage. They, again, might win a few more games now that Drake May's there, but their offensive line is so terrible in New England that Drake May doesn't have any time to do anything. So I think that the Bills, even without adding Amari Cooper to the team, were still going to be the team to beat. But I think that this propels them to a championship level team. I think now they are actually championship contenders. Again, not they weren't before, but before they're relying on one person to make everything. I think this will take some of the pressure off of the rookie Keon Coleman, who is a great receiver. I think that Keon Coleman will have a lot to learn from Amari Cooper. Having somebody like him in the locker room will be helpful. I mean, think about that. For so many reasons, it's got to be really hard to have your wide receiver one be a rookie. As good as Keon Coleman is, and he's great. He's amazing. His personality is great. He's perfect in the limelight. He's still a rookie. He's still learning. And having him be the highest level person, I think, is hard for anyone, let alone somebody who is, it's hard to be the best of your abilities when you aren't having somebody to look up to and get better. And I think that having Amari Cooper there for Keon will be incredibly helpful.
Okay. What did I miss?
No, nothing. I said we might disagree on this, but I said that I think that the Bills, even without adding this, were the team to beat when you look at the AFCs. It's the Dolphins, the Jets, and the Patriots. I mean, the Dolphins at the beginning of the season, I think if Tua was still there, it would be a completely different story. They are a dumpster fire right now. The Jets.
I mean, this is a rare occasion. This is a rare occasion when it comes to football that we agree, because I was going to say by default it has to be the Bills.
Yeah, for real. I mean, and it might be by default for sure. I think if they were in a different AFC division, we might have some more to talk about. But I think, even before, they were the number one team for sure.
I mean, the Bills are the best, the most complete, and that's just because they're the less chaotic dumpster fire team of the four. So it's great. It's great for them. Like I said, Josh Allen finally has some help. I don't know what he did. Did he pray? Did Haley Steinfeld make a call? I don't really know what happened, but Brandon Beane made a call. And clearly Amari Cooper was for the highest bidder, and the Bills actually won something. So
I'm happy for Amari Cooper to get out of Cleveland.
Right.
Talk about a disaster of an organization.
Oh, we'll get to them. My Eagles did the Lord's work on Sunday. So I am of the mindset that the Bills are the best team in the AFC East. They should be a 3 seed more than likely, because they're not going to catch Baltimore or Kansas City. But this is great for them. Great that they finally have a go-to receiver. And we'll see. Obviously, I think Stephon Diggs is a little bit better than Amari Cooper, but Amari Cooper won't rock the boat. So that's good. That's good for the Bills to have a non-chaotic receivers room.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right.
Yeah. So moving right along, Haason Reddick, somebody who I know Morgan is tired of talking about, but Haason Reddick hires Drew Rosenhaus and gets permission for a trade. I mean, what a day for the Jets, right? You get Devontae Adams and lose Haason Reddick, and also we'll have to send, if he does get traded, send the Eagles another second-round pick. So it's a great day for a lot of people who and not a great day if you're a Jets fan. It's a good and a bad day if you're a Jets fan. But Hassan Reddick hires Drew Rosenhaus and gets permission for a trade. So I'll start here because Morgan's gonna have a lot to say because I know she does not like talking about Hassan Reddick. So anyway, Camden native Hassan Reddick, very talented. He's been a little. I think this is more on the Jets than him. I just really think he didn't want to play for the Jets, and who could blame him for what a dumpster fire they are? But he hired Drew Rosenhaus, and we should have known. I kind of had this feeling yesterday when I heard the news that you don't hire Drew Rosenhaus unless you're either about to sign a really, really big contract or you're seeking a trade. So just ask Robinson Cano. I am of the mindset. Sorry to you Yankees fans. I know that's PTSD right there, right? But I know that Hassan Reddick, great guy, great player. Unfortunately, he didn't get a chance to win a Super Bowl. He did get a chance at a Super Bowl, but didn't get a chance to win one. For his hometown. But I think he's a great talent. I think he deserves to be on a contender. He might end up. We're not going to talk about this just because this got moved off because of everything that happened yesterday. But I think Detroit is looking for a pass rusher now with the injury to Aiden Hutchinson. So I feel like that makes the most logical sense right now for him. But Drew Rosenhaus, is going to do what he has to do, and he's going to do what it is for his clients. So this is great for Hassan Reddick. He'll actually get a chance to contend for a championship, which is something he would never do in New York. So my reaction to this is, good for him. I'm sick that he has to. Well, I'm not really sick because he's a millionaire, but it sucks that he had to take the stand because of the Jets' stupidity and Woody Johnson's stupidity as well. But I think this is, again, when he got traded to the Jets, I said this, when you're trading for these big time players, these talented players, you should have a plan, especially when the Eagles give you a heads up that, hey, he wants his money, give him his money. And that was keen on why they traded him to the Jets. And then that didn't happen. The Jets messed around, and now they're finding out, right, that Hassan Reddick is not that guy. He went to Temple. He's a smart dude. He played in a dumpster fire organization in Carolina, so he understands how to move in dumpster fire organizations and didn't want that to be the end of his career, and I can't begrudge him for that. So shouts out to him and shouts out to Drew Rosenhaus because we already know Drew Rosenhaus, he's going to make sure he goes somewhere and gets his money. Morgan?
Yeah, I mean, Hassan is he's a tough cookie. He got fired by his original agents because supposedly they had a deal on the table, and Hassan was like, I'm not taking it, I'm not signing it. And they were like, okay, well then unfortunately we can't represent you anymore. So good for him. It's kind of all you can say is I hope he gets what he wants. He won't be coming to an NFC team. We know that. Because then
he can't come to an NFC East team. Well, he can't come to the Eagles. NFC. No, I think because he can't go. He can't go back to the Eagles because of some dumb rule.
I thought that the Eagles in the contract put that he couldn't come back to the NFC.
I thought it was the NFC East.
Okay, well, we know he's not coming back to the NFC East. Which good, I guess. I don't want him on the Giants, and I would rather him not on the Cowboys or Commanders. So I guess good. But yeah, I guess I just hope he gets what he wants. That's kind of all I got.
All right. Well, I kind of already teased this, but I think he ends up in Detroit, especially with what happened to Aiden Hutchinson. Yeah. Very unfortunate, but that's football. You make a tackle, you step wrong, especially on these fraud behind fields that are sucky outside Lincoln Financial Field. This is what happens. Unfortunate. Aiden Hutchinson, what a star he was. But I think he'll end up in Detroit or Pittsburgh. I think either way he'll end up it seems like with Hassan, he wants to be close to home. Since the Eagles have either they put it in his contract or made it so he can't go to the NFC East, I guess the next best thing for him would be either be in Pittsburgh or Detroit, or Buffalo. But I'm imagining that he wants to stay in the Northeast. if at all possible. But I think Detroit would be great for him. Another world class organization, and a chance to compete for a title. I think that's all he wants, a place where he can be for a long time and compete for a title. But I think either Detroit or Pittsburgh.
Yeah. I think Detroit is probably the most likely landing spot purely because of what you just said with
Aiden Hutchinson.
With Aiden Hutchinson's injury. Yeah.
All right. So moving right along. Speaking of those Steelers, Russell Wilson is back. He's taking his practice reps with the first team. Morgan, your reaction to this?
Cool. I think we're just gonna see same old Russ. Like I don't. Russ does not excite me. I know he excites other people. I would 1,000,000,000% rather watch Justin Fields the rest of the season. I think Justin Fields has a way higher ceiling for the rest of his career. I think Russell Wilson is nearing the tail end of whatever career he has left.
Even after what you saw the last few weeks with Justin Fields not being able to with the Dallas Cowboys whole thing being
but do you really think that Russell Wilson's gonna be that much better? Honestly.
I mean, look, I'll say this. Everybody knows I'm a big Justin Fields booster, right? I'm mad that the Chicago Bears wasted him in Chicago. And I think that he could learn a lot from Russell Wilson. He's clearly there. He's led the Steelers to a 4-2 record. But he has his weaknesses, and we saw it in SNF, right? He's not there yet where he can complete a good pass. George Pickens is upset because he's not getting the ball because, Justin Fields, for all of he's more of an intermediate passer, not a deep ball passer. And Pickens isn't really that type of receiver. So I think the Steelers offense has been missing that quarterback. I mean, they haven't had it since Kenny Pickett before he got injured. And even Kenny Pickett had his weaknesses. So I think that Russell Wilson, for all his faults, I think that Mike Tomlin is smart enough and now that he's healthy, because bad calves is a whole thing, but now that he's healthy, to me, I think that's the logical choice. I think that Russell Wilson, it might not look good all the time, but Russell Wilson is a better quarterback right now than Justin Fields. There's no knock on Fields. It's just the facts of the matter. And I think that Justin Fields is the Steelers quarterback of the future, unless something really weird happens and they have a chance to get Shador. I think that Russell Wilson is the bridge quarterback to Justin Fields. So I'm of the mindset that, the NFL, Morgan, I say it all the time on the show. What does the NFL stand for? Not for long. So you strike while the iron's hot, and the better quarterback right now for the Steelers is Russell Wilson.
That's probably true. That's probably true. I still, as a fan of the sport, would rather watch Justin Fields. I think he's more fun. But,
Right. But all they really need is somebody who could throw the ball, throw to George Pickens. And the one thing Russell Wilson could do is throw the deep ball, throw to a tight end. And that's what they need. They don't really need, it's great for people that have Najee Harris fantasy. But, if you're not a Najee Harris fantasy owner, you probably don't like watching them dink and dunk and not give it to George Pickens. But the Steelers are 4-2. They have wiggle room. They should be in the playoffs. They'll be all right either way. But I think Russell Wilson, this is great for the Steelers, and this is great for the Steelers offense. And great for George Pickens, who I know a lot of the Steelers fans are probably sick of right now, but you're kind of stuck with him because he makes plays. And for all of his diva-ness, he's not Antonio Brown. So I just think that. But well, you kind of didn't get it. Well, you kind of talked about it. You want to finish your thoughts, or you good?
Yeah, I think for the team, yeah, he probably should should probably go with Russell Wilson. But for what I would like to watch as fun would be
Justin Fields run for his life.
Yeah.
For me, like I said, I think you start Russ just because, again, the Steelers are an aging team. TJ Watt isn't getting any younger. So you need to strike while the iron's hot, and Russell Wilson gives you the best chance to win. And maybe next year it'll be Justin Fields, or 2 years from now. But Justin Fields needs to take the Jordan Love approach and just learn. He's a great quarterback, and I think that he can learn under Russ. I think Mike Tomlin needs to start Russ. If it looks bad in these next 3 games, Then you go back to Justin Fields. But I think that, Mike Tomlin's smart enough to make a decision, stick with the quarterback, and just ride out with the quarterback. Because again, it can't.
Yep.
Pittsburgh has seen some bad quarterbacks. So I mean, Justin Fields and Russell Wilson are an upgrade from what they've had the last few years. So moving right along, because this is a lot of football. I know Morgan was happy when she saw this rundown. but for my basketball fans, don't worry. The NBA starts next week. So y'all know I'm gonna load it up with basketball. So this is probably the last time.
Don't worry, UConn fans. I'll be talking about all the UConn players that are in the NBA. So.
But the Philadelphia Eagles down the Cleveland Browns. So my reaction to this is, it was an up and down game. It really wasn't an up and down game. It was a game that the Eagles dominated, except for obviously when Myles Garrett's athleticism blocked the field goal that led to a touchdown, which should never have happened. You don't really see blocked field goals lead to touchdowns in the NFL. But, the Eagles, the one thing that this season is showing is that the Eagles, are not really going to have an easy win this year. They're going to win hard and win ugly, but I think the Eagles look good. The offense has some things to work out, but A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, you love seeing Jalen Hurts being able to handle the blitz, which is something that a lot of people knocked him for, but he's always been good against the blitz. It's looking better. I'm of the mindset that the Dallas Goedert thing is going to be a loss, and the Jordan Mailata both of them missing a few weeks might be two big losses. But I just think that, again, the Eagles have a softer version of their schedule now. They did one half of it, and now it's on to the Giants, which we'll get to in a minute, and the Bengals. All 1:00 games. Great for those of us that may like the 4:00 starts, but don't really want to do work after the 4:00 starts. So this is great. This is great for the Eagles. Jalen didn't turn the ball over. A great encouraging sign there. I just think that now that Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown are back, and Saquon Barkley in the revenge game, I think it's going to look good these next few weeks for the Eagles. But, for this whole game, like the Eagles dominated this game except for a blocked field goal. And ultimately, their talent, like I said in my article, which you can see right here down below, their talent won them this game. They can't really rely on that, but they're the Eagles. They've relied on it, got into a Super Bowl, but the offense has to be better. And I think the sooner Nick Sirianni trusts Kellen Moore to run his style of offense, and they figure out what I said this in the article, what Jalen Hurts is good at in Kellen Moore's offense, what they both can work out on, the better. So Nick Sirianni cannot worry about that. And I think once that starts, and that should get better again, the opponents are kind of weak with all due respect to Morgan's Giants, but they are Giants, then the Bengals being the strongest of their three opponents, just talent-wise, right? So I'm of the mindset that this was a good win, good ugly win for the Eagles. Got some things to work out on the offense, but defensively, if you're Daniel Jones, you should be scared because Jalen Carter was looking a little bit too vicious. If you're the Giants' offensive line, which I don't know if they fixed, I'm sure Morgan's going to tell us in a few more segments. But those are my thoughts on this. Good job on defense. Special teams need some work. Can't be allowing blocked field goals, especially with Josh Elliott as your kicker. That shouldn't happen. But again, for Eagles fans that just saw the score and fans who don't watch Eagles games but use them for clicks, the Eagles dominated this game. Morgan and I both agree. Besides that Myles Garrett blocked field goal, this would have been 30 to probably 7 if it didn't.
Yeah.
My score before this game was 34, like 24. It would have been that just without the scoring on the Cleveland side. Morgan?
Yeah. I think that the Cleveland Browns are a terrible team. Not saying that the Philadelphia Eagles are not getting better each and every week, but I also think that the Cleveland Browns are a dumpster fire. So I don't love to be pessimistic about Kylan's teams, but I think that, they're improving slowly every week, and what a great team for them to play. The Cleveland Browns, I think.
See how for those of you that are not, that this is your first time watching, so she's a Giants fan, so it's hard for her to say anything nice about a Philadelphia team. So go ahead.
I just think, honestly, that it's going to be way more challenging for I know we're not there yet and we will get there, but it's going to be way more, I think it's going to be a way more challenging game this week than the Cleveland Browns was. That's all I'll say. And I know we'll get there, but
I'm telling you, Saquon's going to give y'all 5 touchdowns on Sunday.
But here's the thing. I don't know if you guys have played a defense like the Giants defense. They are really good. Really good. Our pass rush is really good. Dexter Lawrence is really good. We'll talk about it in a second. But
I mean, he's going to see Lane Johnson, so I don't think Dexter will be a problem. Unless y'all move him around, I don't think it's going to be a problem. But speaking of games, I mean, you know, we said it before that the Giants need to start losing. Boy, did they make me right by losing to the Bengals? But I think Morgan and I both agreed that they were going to lose to the Bengals. But you know, I told you
it was a competitive game though, which is what I said.
I mean, like I said, the Bengals O-line. This is the thing. We'll get to this game in a minute, but you know, the Bengals O-line sucks. It's always been that way. And Dexter Lawrence and them took advantage of that. But the Giants seem to me like they're missing something. I'm not saying that Saquon Barkley, but on offense, it just doesn't look good yet. I don't know.
The quarterback, but that's, you know.
The Malik played, right? Or did he not play?
No, played. They expecting him to play this week. No. Okay. If Malik had played, I think we would have won that game. I mean, we missed two 40-yard field goals, and we didn't have our star running back or our star wide receiver. So, you know, I'm not feeling like terrible about the game, to be honest with you.
Okay, I mean, look, I said before, like Morgan just wants a competitive team, and I'm trying to get her to understand that you need Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. like you know, but she's you know, a fan to the end. But you know, I just think that it behooves the Giants to start losing. You know, I mean, you can lose and be competitive, but it's time to start losing because you need some draft picks, and it doesn't get any better than Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders at the top of this draft. You know, unless she said this off air, unless you're a conspiracy theorist and think the Giants have a chance at Arch Manning in these next 2 years. But yeah, I think for the Giants, like this was I fell asleep halfway through this game just because of everything I was doing at the retreat. But from what it looked like, Cincinnati looked like a pretty even game before Cincinnati finally woke up on offense. And again, another team that's struggling on offense, 17-7, when it really probably should have been 34-7. But you know, the Bengals are a struggling team. You know, this time out. But moving right along in our NFC East segment, the Detroit Lions stomped the Dallas Cowboys. Morgan, I'll let you start here. Your reaction to this?
Yeah, the Detroit Lions are really good. It was, of course, really sad to see Aiden go down with that broken leg because he's been on him and Dexter Lawrence were in a race for the most definitely going to continue to be in a race for the most sacks this year. It's sad to see him go out. Prayers and thoughts for him. He went into emergency surgery. They think he's going to make a full recovery, which is great. That's kind of all you can ask for in that situation. I think, again, like I say every week, unfortunately, you don't ever know what kind of Dallas Cowboys is going to run out of the tunnel. You can have a Super Bowl winning team, or you can have a team that forgets how to play football. They forgot how to play football on Sunday. They can't protect the quarterback. Dak is so lost. He looks like he doesn't know. He looks like they threw him. He looks like he was supposed to be playing for the Lions, and they threw him on the field in a Cowboys uniform that morning. Like, he just is not in sync with any of his receivers. He's making these crazy misthrows. It just was not a good game. And I know that Jerry was very embarrassed after the game. It was his 72nd, I think, birthday. It was the worst loss in the Jerry Jones era.
By the way, the oldest looking 70-year-old you've ever seen. He looks
nice. So, you know, it was just an all-around bad game. They, you know, when they tweeted out the attendance of the game, they blurred out the score on the Dallas Twitter. It was just a nightmare. It couldn't have gone worse, honestly. I don't think they could have gone worse. I mean, I guess they could have not scored, but you know, at some point you almost just rather them not score, and you're just like, that was just I don't know what happened there, you know?
I mean, Morgan took the Dallas perspective. I'm gonna just say, I texted Morgan that the hate. I think, what did I say, Morgan? Like the hate. You could just feel the hate that Detroit had from the screw job a few months ago. Like, hype of the mindset that that the Lions are just that dominant, man. I've said like the top three teams in the NFC. The 49ers aren't really looking like it right now, but it's the Eagles, 49ers, and Lions. And the Lions clearly had revenge on their mind from what happened in January. We all saw it, right? They got screwed. The ref was blind. He suffered from temporary blindness because we all saw the tape of the lineman saying it to him, but the ref acted like he clearly didn't hear him. But I'm of the mindset that was a receipt that the Lions cashed, and the Lions are just that dominant. When Jared Goff is throwing and Ben Johnson is calling plays like that, there's just nobody other than maybe the Eagles or the 49ers who can stay on the field with the Lions. The Lions are really just that good.
Yeah.
Like I said, they are solidly the third best team in the East and in the NFC. Thinking of basketball already. I said in the East, but that's technically where Detroit is, in the East. But they're the best team, and they're the best team in the NFC North. They're the best team, third best team in the NFC. And I think that this just says, like, games like this really show you who the haves are and the have-nots, right? And Dallas, like, I haven't seen Dallas get dominated like this since the New Orleans game, and we knew that New Orleans was a fraud team anyway. But I mean, this was like Detroit basically saying, like, I think this beatdown couldn't have been worse unless Detroit, after this game, was playing the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah. Like, either way, this was a receipt for the Cowboys. And I don't know if they play the 49ers, but I think the 49ers got a receipt like this coming to them, too, if they play each other this year. I don't think they play each other. They don't play each other this year unless it's in the playoffs, right?
Not that I have.
But yeah, I think that this was a receipt from January, and the Lions cashed it in. Dan Campbell clearly had his boys ready to go. And I just think that this was dominant Lions. Like, again, if the Lions look like this, I don't think there's any team outside of maybe the Eagles or the 49ers who can really stand up to them.
Yeah.
And I just think this was them playing to their hardest. This is what happens. This is what that looks like when they're like completely focused on destroying a team. This is literally the Detroit Lions that we saw with the Detroit Lions that dominated the 49ers for 2 quarters before they forgot how to play football in the NFC Championship game. So we've seen this level of focus from them. This is the first complete game that we've seen in a while from the Lions, and I don't know what to say. I think that there's a 5th NFC East team, because the Lions, I mean, the way they stopped the Cowboys was like they was right. They was decided a receipt, man. That's what I told Morgan, man. It felt like those of you that are millennials or older Gen Zs, it felt like, when you see a fight in the schoolyard and you just beat somebody, not me or Morgan, we don't condone violence, but you just see somebody beat somebody's behind so badly, like it just feels like that person had it coming with the way they just beat him or her and beat him and beat him and beat him and beat him. That's kind of what this felt like. Like, for a while, it felt like the Simpsons being like, stop, he's already dead. That's what it felt like. So I mean, there's nothing else I can say. This was just complete domination by the Lions. Moving over to Morgan's hometown team, the Battle of the DMV, and the Commanders lost. The Commanders
Battle of the Beltway, they were calling it, which I thought was cute.
The Washington Commanders fall to the Ravens. I mean, both of us kind of figured this. I mean, the Ravens, like I said, when the Ravens kind of like with the Lions, when the Ravens focus on you and they decide, and offensively they found something and they just dominated the Commanders. And the Commanders, the first 2 quarters, it looked like it would be a slugfest. Then the Ravens decided, kind of like they did against the Bengals, that it was over. And Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry called game, and there was just nothing the Commanders could do. I told y'all they were frauds. I mean, I just continue to tell y'all, it is bad. This is getting into the next question, but it is bad for your team, as Morgan has seen these last few weeks, when I call your team frauds. You lose the next week very badly when I call your team a fraud. So, I'm just gonna say that the Commanders are the frauds that I thought they were. And, Morgan wants to be nice to her hometown team, even though she's not a fan of them. But, that's what it looks like. I mean, The Ravens dominated. The Commanders got to feel what it's like now that the competition is ratcheting up as they play better teams. Morgan?
Yeah. I don't think they're frauds. I know we're different on that. I think the Ravens are a really, really, really good team. I think they're a super high level Super Bowl contending team. Lamar Jackson is on track to win another MVP. Derrick Henry looks unstoppable. Looks like he can blow through a brick wall. And the Commanders are a young team. Jayden Daniels is young, made some mistakes. But again, I thought it was a good showing from them. I thought that there's no reason if you're a Washington fan to be upset with that loss. That was a loss that going into the season you probably counted on having. And it probably does not surprise you that you lost that game.
All right.
And if it does surprise you, then come on.
I'll let you start here. Are the Commanders the frauds? I said they were last week. We could play the clip, but y'all already know how I felt. I think I can run through it, right? Like they have a quarterback, but that's it. Like it's the quarterback and Terry McLaurin. You shut that down. They really have nothing, as the Ravens showed. During the thing. Like if Terry McLaurin doesn't have free reign, it's a done deal. And they don't really have like Brian Robinson's good, but he's not him. I'm of the mindset that the Commanders are frauds. They're prompted up by having a quarterback who is otherworldly. But I think once he starts playing better teams, it'll be shown that he's good, but he's not him. But I mean, he's him for the Commanders because that's their QB of the future. But I just think the Commanders, they're frauds. They are the fraud. They are the frauds that I told y'all they were. that's what it is. And Morgan may disagree. She may think I'm being harsh on her team because they're an NFC East competitor. But I said before this season that Jayden Daniels was him, but he's not going to take them that far. So I've been consistent on this. But it looks good right now for the Commanders. 4-2. What are they? 4-2. Like it's not totally good. It's not totally bad right now. You're looking like a wild card team, but you'll be falling off very soon. As like I said, the competition ratchets up, and you're proven to be the frauds that I thought you were. Morgan?
Yeah, I just said I don't think they're frauds. But I guess we will continue to see, won't we?
We'll see. I mean, who do they play this week coming up?
They might have a bye, actually.
Okay, well, bye week. Good. So the Commanders fans don't have to worry about it. But to the game that y'all all want us to talk about, right? Eagles versus Giants.
Woo!
Preview for this game. Obviously, this was a game that the Eagles wound up splitting. This was the first time in like 20 years that I think the Giants actually took a game from the Eagles. So I'm of the mindset that this will be a very, very slugfest. But I think that this is a Saquon Barkley revenge game. I think he's going to be juiced at the Meadowlands, at least get about 3 touchdowns. I think the Eagles will make it a point early in the game to get him involved early and often. And I just think that this is this is going to be very reminiscent for Morgan for what Alvin Kamara did to the Cowboys. I think this will be a 3 to 4 touchdown game. You'll be very happy if you own Saquon Barkley. Very unfortunate if you have to play him this week in your fantasy league. But I just think the Eagles will make it a point to run it down the Giants' throat. I think that you'll get a steady dose of AJ Brown destroying whoever his opponent is. Devontae Smith over the middle. Watch out for those underneath routes. As Cleveland found out. I just think this is going to be. I think we're gonna leave this game, kind of like what Derrick Henry did to the Commanders and Bengals. This is going to be the Saquon Barkley 3 touchdown game. At least it might end up being 5 touchdowns because I think he's going to be juiced. He's already talking about like he's trying to play it down. He's talking about he might not get booed. You're going to get booed, Saquon. It's New York.
Yeah, that's insane. That was such an insane statement. He's like, no, I think everybody's over it. And I'm like, did you Didn't you live in New York for like 5 years? What are you talking about?
They're constant haters is what they do. They're, they.
What is that? A Philadelphia fan calling New York fan constant haters is a mind-blowing statement.
You are. I mean, I'm just saying. These are New York fans that a Yankees game ends in positivity and they're shouting F and B. I mean, you want to talk about hating fans? Like, we are not like the Phillies don't win or lose a game, but we're not like F. Jalen Brunson. Like, it doesn't. You can't honestly say that New York doesn't hate. Like
New York definitely hates, but I think really hates harder.
Yeah. So the Eagles Giants. I just think this is gonna be like, this will be determined by, obviously, Jalen Hurts is better than Daniel Jones. We don't need to. I'm not a blind New Yorker, so I don't need to like fake it till I make it and make myself dilute myself into thinking that Daniel Jones is a good quarterback. So Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley will dominate. AJ Brown will also, and Devontae Smith will probably all get. So this will be a good game for Jalen Hurts, good game for AJ Brown, good game for Devontae Smith, but a really, really good game for Saquon Barkley. 3 touchdowns. I think 3 rushing touchdowns, a passing touchdown. And I just think that, the Giants are the Eagles, I think, have a receipt for the Giants, for them taking full advantage of the fact that the Eagles collapsed. And I think that there's a receipt coming for the Giants. But we'll see. But that's my belief. I think if you had to nail me down on the score, with all due respect, I'm going to say 35-20.
Okay, 35-20. I think it's gonna be like 21-28, and I don't know who's gonna win. I'll just say the Giants are gonna win just because that
you have to delude yourself into thinking that's gonna happen.
Maybe let's say 21-14 Giants. I don't know if the Giants can score 28 points. But yeah, that's my prediction.
All right, well, you gotta give. I gave you all.
But that's only if Malik Neighbors plays. If Malik Neighbors plays, I think it's a different situation. So
you gotta give the people more analysis than that. Gotta tell us something, man. You talk about sexy Dexy.
Plays. I think we have a much better shot at winning because then we can spread the ball around. We're not just relying on. We have Slayton, we have Neighbors, we have Robinson. And then I think that Tracy has done a really nice job at running back. Our offensive line is doing a good job at giving Daniel Jones time because without Malik Neighbors there, he definitely is needing more time. I think, again, they're doing such a good job. If Malik Neighbors comes back, it'll be good. The key to this game is going to be the New York Giants defense. The New York Giants defense is playing awesome. They are getting they're forcing turnovers. They're crashing the line of scrimmage. They're averaging, I think it's 2 or 3 sacks a game. Like they are really, really being powerful. And I know I know Philly has a great offensive line. I know that, but I genuinely think that because Daboll is able to trust his defense, he gets a little bit more experimental on offense, which I think is what needs to happen. So that I'll go 21-14 Giants.
Yeah, I think your offensive line is in for awakening because you got to see Jalen Carter, and the last time he saw that offensive line, you know what happened. So I'm of the mindset that this will be a battle of defensive lines. I think the Eagles have paid a lot more money for their defensive line to show up, but we'll see. That's why they play the games. But you got to give. We got you. As you know, they've come up to you. We got some degenerate sports bettors that hang on our every word, Morgan. So you got to tell them what to bet on. None of us are telling you what to bet on. Let me just say that. I don't want nobody to find me.
If I were a betting man, I would put a bet on Saquon Barkley to score a touchdown.
A couple of touchdowns.
On that.
Couple of touchdowns. But moving right along to the Thursday night football game, the Saints versus the Denver Broncos. The surprisingly, I guess, better than we thought Broncos, but not really because I had no hopes for them this year.
I think this game is going to be boring.
It should be if the Saints do what they're supposed to do. But
you mean lose? Like
No, I mean, like they are the better, like they're the more talented team. Besides, obviously, I mean, we don't know if Derek Carr will play. I'm assuming he won't.
I don't think he's gonna play. I
But
think they already said he's not.
I mean, Spencer Rattler looked good enough last week. Like I think he's
the rookie quarterbacks this year. I think are really, I would love to see Rattler against Bo Nix. I think that they're playing better than expected. I feel like this crop of rookie quarterbacks is, and I think partially that's because some of them are so old. Like they played college football for so long that they're not children. They are my age or a little bit younger, and I think that they are much calmer in the pocket than they would be if they'd come right out of college after 3 years.
I mean, look at what's Oklahoma versus Oregon. I mean, two teams that don't really have two and done players. So, I mean, I'm of the mindset that the Saints should win this game. I don't know if it'll be easy or hard. But I'm of the mindset the Saints are the more talented team. There should be a steady diet of Alvin Kamara. Obviously, there won't be. This should be the Alvin Kamara game because I think Olave isn't playing. I also think Rashid Shaheed is also injured. So this should be the Alvin Kamara game. Like, this is a game where if you have Alvin, again, I hate catering to fantasy people. I don't have Alvin Kamara on my fantasy team. But again, I mean, keeping with the theme, running backs dominating, this should be another case of a running back imposing their will throughout this game. I think this game, Morgan put the Giants in the Eagles game as a slog. I think this game will be a slog, and I think it'll come out 28-24 Saints. I think that the battle of the QBs, Rattler, the talent of the Saints offense and defense wins out over the Broncos. I mean, you always have the Sean Payton revenge game as well, but I just think that the Saints win this 28-24 because they're the more talented team. And that's really all I have for this game by default. They're the more talented team, so they should win. Morgan?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really low scoring, boring game. I think it's going to be like 9-14, 9-12. Like I think it's going to be
a baseball score. Huh?
Literally. I'll be different. I'll give it to the Broncos. I'll say 7-12 Broncos.
Okay. All right. But yeah, so we started, a few weeks ago, we talked about the top half of the league. Now we're going to go to the people who are currently in the Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter sweepstakes, where the Giants should be right now. Which of the teams that are currently 1-4 can turn it around? To me, I just think it's the Rams, right? The Rams, unfortunately, have gotten snake bitten by a bunch of very, very horrible injuries. Cooper Kupp, it seems like, is on track to play. Puka Nacua, I think, is probably another few weeks away. But, I think once Matthew Stafford gets his weapons back, as long as there's no injury to Matthew Stafford, and again, Rams fans, I don't hate Matthew Stafford. He's good. He's good. He's good people's by my book. I'm not saying that because I hate him, but just because I know he's taken a lot of hits. I just think as long as Matthew Stafford is upright and Cooper Kupp comes back, and as long as Matthew Stafford is upright, the Rams have a chance. I think the Rams are the most likely team of all of them to get out of the 1-4 hole. I'm not saying that they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they'll make a sport out of it as they did last year. Like they get hot late, they'll compete for a wild card spot. I don't know if they'll get to the playoffs because I think 1-4 is kind of a big hole, even in the 18 or 17 game season. But I'm of the mindset that I feel like the Rams have the most talent of the group that's 1-4. So I think they'll turn it around. Morgan?
Yeah, I
guess we should tell the people who's 1-4. I'll let you do that.
Yeah,
the Rams.
I had the list up. Sorry, let me pull up the. So the Patriots are 1-4.
Panthers, right? Rams.
Patriots, Browns,
yes.
Titans, Jaguars,
and Rams.
Jags are actually 1-5.
Who?
The Jags are 5.
All right, so
Rams and Panthers. Panthers are I mean, they looked better the first game they brought Andy Dalton in. I was like, okay. And then they haven't really seen that I haven't really seen that from them since.
Oh, yeah, Andy Dalton was doomed to. Once they
Yeah,
brought Andy Dalton in, it was assured that they're going to they're going to win the Shador Sanders, Travis Hunter. I mean, I don't think anybody thought the Jaguars would be as bad as they are. So like they're in the lead right now.
yeah, I think the Rams, I would probably say out of all of those teams, I trust the most. I don't trust the Patriots. The Browns, no.
We already went
Where
in
did
on
it
them.
go? Why did my thing go away? And then I always think the Titans can kind of do something sneaky, kind of. But I don't know. I don't see it. And then the Jags are just so bad.
Obviously this is a part we're journalists, so since you're, obviously we both like football, but since you're more the football girl, more the football, I guess, of the two of us, the more the more expert one of the two of us, like, and just to give our Kentucky Wildcat fans hope who are looking at and kind of like, I didn't text you, but this is kind of a mind meld because I know you're probably thinking the same thing. So for people that, like us, saw Will Levis last year and saw how good he was, I mean, what's happened? Is it the offensive line? Is it him?
I think it's a combination of others, a ton of things. I think Will Levis has a like swagger to him, has a mindset to him that I think last year helped him and helped him get over those nerves and stuff like that. This is completely my opinion. This is not, I don't know anything. I haven't obviously been in their camps, but it feels to me almost like he was like, oh, that's what I did my rookie year. I'm just going to get better. And I see him being visibly frustrated on the sidelines and things like that. And I don't hear him taking a ton of responsibility for it, which it's not all of his fault. There's a lot going on there. He doesn't have a lot of time to throw the ball. I mean, name a good receiver on like a star weapon that the Titans have for him.
Will Levis.
They didn't give him a lot. They actually took stuff away. They don't have Derrick Henry anymore. They took away the run game option. He's not a running quarterback per se. So, you feel for him in those moments where it's like he was in a good situation last year because he had more weapons. He had D-Hop last year too, right?
Yep.
D-Hop,
I think that was it. D-Hop, Henry. He had the what's the guy from Arkansas that went Razorback hunting, that receiver. I think he's injured.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't think
of his name. So.
But they, so I think that he lost a lot of his weapons, which I'm sure shattered his confidence slightly. They have a new coach. So, there's, no, we don't have a new coach. Who am I thinking of? They do have a new coach, right?
I believe they do have a new coach.
Yeah.
Because, was it Arthur Smith was the Falcons coach, so hold on. You can keep going. Don't worry.
Yeah, so I think that there's a lot of those things that are going on right now. I think the biggest thing is
it's Brian Callahan. So yeah, they have a new coach.
Yeah, so new coach, and they lost other weapons. I think are two of the biggest issues that are kind of going on with them right now.
Okay, and I mean, I don't even know what to say to give because we got some Jacksonville Jaguars fans hope. Like I think the only thing you have is that you have Doug Peterson. I think that's it. I don't know if any of us.
But people are saying that Doug Peterson's going to get fired.
Yeah. I don't think it's him. I think it's more like I don't think it's him Trevor Lawrence has somewhat regressed. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I think he's regressed.
I don't think that I don't think he's ever actually been set up to succeed in the NFL. Starting those first couple of years with Urban Meyer can't have been
right.
And for what it's worth, you want to talk about attitude coming from somebody who doesn't necessarily, it's good to overcome adversity in your life. It helps you become a better person and a better athlete and have a better mindset. It's hard when the first time you're losing ever is when you've made it to the highest level of the game.
Yeah, and I also want to say that I just think like some of this is the fact that other than ETN, like It's not like Jacksonville has a lot of weapons, so I don't want to be disrespectful to Jacksonville, but it's like was the only reliable weapon that they have, ETN. I think they have is Evan Ingram still on that team? Didn't they re-sign him?
Yes.
So they have Evan Ingram. Like it's not. I mean, it's basically a house of glass next to Trevor. So I'm not saying it's all on him or Doug. I just think they need more weapons there. I think that they'll have a chance though. Now that they'll have a top 2 pick. I mean, they can fix the defense. They can definitely fix if they wind up, which it looks like they will. Probably end up with a number 1 pick, and I think that they obviously don't need a quarterback. So I think that Travis Hunter will probably end up being a Jacksonville Jaguar very soon. So I am of the mindset that I think that Jackson, like I said, the Rams are the most likely to turn around. The Titans have a lot to fix. Jaguars really they just need to find more reliable weapons around Trevor Lawrence and don't fire Doug. And I'm not just saying that as an Eagles.
I don't think that's a smart move either. So
don't fire Doug. Keep let Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson fix it. But I just think that there's a house of glass built. Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson are not GMs, right? So I think that there is a house of glass built around both of them, and that's just the chickens are coming home to roost, unfortunately for the Jaguars. But yeah, so. If you're a Panthers, Patriots, and other team who I miss fan, there's no hope for you. But for the Jaguars and Rams, there's some hope there. Titans too, I guess. But moving right along to what we always get to, the most intriguing matchups of NFL Week 7, and I will let you go while I pull it up.
I was looking at these games earlier today. I mean, it's a tough week.
I mean, other than Eagles Giants, right? Like that's.
I'm just gonna read you guys. I'm gonna read you guys the games for this week, and you can tell me.
Hold on, I'm about to pull it up. You can go ahead.
What you guys think of these games because I'm pulling. Oh, I'm like, why am I?
There you go. I got it.
I was specifically on the Las Vegas Raiders, and I could not figure out how. Okay. So tomorrow we have
the Broncos
Saints. Okay, yeah. So we talked about that. I mean, that game will be fine. Patriots, Jaguars. I mean, don't watch it. I think the Lions and the Vikings is going to be a really good game. 2 top tier teams. It'll be kind of the first time seeing the Lions without Aiden Hutchinson. Kind of see what they do to fill that hole in there. I think that the Bills should demolish the Titans, especially if I don't know if Amari Cooper is playing. I would assume he would, right?
I mean, we haven't heard anything otherwise. So
yeah, but it is a short week for him, so he definitely would be limited. But I'm sure they'll put him in at some point.
Dolphins, the rematch.
Who cares?
The rematch in the Super Bowl. Let's not forget that.
That's I think the biggest game. The Bengals have a chance to continue on this little winning streak they have, beating the Browns. Texans, Packers. I think, Jordan Love looked really good last week. CJ Stroud's continued to look strong. That'll be an interesting game. Eagles, Giants, I think it has some storylines. I think the teams are closer in talent than Eagles fans would like to admit. Commanders should get back on track with the Panthers would be my assumption. Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl rematch, but not really. The 49ers are struggling right now. They not by their fault. They have a lot of injuries, and I think they're kind of still trying to overcome their injuries. But I do think that it'll still be a good game. Jets Steelers. There's some storylines there. I think Russell Wilson starting will be interesting. You have Devontae Adams on the Jets, so I think that there's some intriguing things there. And then Ravens Bucks I actually think will be a pretty good game on Monday.
Yeah, I think Ravens Bucks. I think the 4 best games on the schedule are Ravens Bucks, Chiefs 49ers, Vikings Lions. I think the Lions, if the team, like I said from last week, shows up, I think the Lions, I think I have to, that's a QB battle. I think I'll take Jared Goff over Sam Darnold there, but there's always shocks. Dan Campbell could forget how to coach as he often does. So in big games, we'll see. But I fully expect the Lions to be 5-1 and the Vikings to be 5-1 there. Houston Packers, battle of young QBs. I think that the Packers have a little bit better of a defense. They should win that game over the Texans. I think if the Texans win, CJ Stroud has gone God mode. Falcons Seahawks should be a Seahawks dub. Um, yeah, Jaguars Patriots. I don't know what to tell you. Somebody's got to win. So I think the Jaguars get their second win of the
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
I that's where I am with it. Eagles Giants, as well. So we'll see and keep y'all posted. Definitely check out our social media feeds as well. And now we get to move from the NFL, staying in football, to college. Colorado falls to Kansas State. So Morgan, I will give you a play-by-play of my Saturday night. So we end our sessions. We have a very, very good, very, very emotion-stirring play that we get to see. And then, it's snack time. I don't know how you can have a snack time and have burgers and hot dogs, but that's what we wound up having. Not really snacks in my estimation. Maybe you think differently. I think that more is dinner than a snack. But I'm not going to begrudge the hotel for serving that. So we're eating. I see my friend Andre, friend of the show. You guys saw his comments last week. He wants to come on the show, so he might come on. Whereas episode 48, maybe we'll do a big special for the 50th. Maybe have some guests. We're getting closer and closer to 50, which is crazy. So we're watching the game. He has a Colorado Kansas State game on, and I see future number one pick Travis Hunter. He's going out of the game, and I tell my friend Andre right then and there, because I know I'm not staying up for this game. I say Colorado just lost, and I do that as soon as he walked out. And then Colorado couldn't stop Kansas State. They ran it down their throats. After he went out, they ran it down their throats, which was the theme of this game. And like I said, Colorado's good, but they're not invincible. I kind of chalked up they probably lose this Kansas State game. They still should get the 6 wins. But I think now is the time. We saw this last year where they did this. I don't know if this will happen again, but Travis Hunter misses significant time. This is probably what's going to happen to the Buffaloes. But they still should be bowl eligible. But I think this was more of good Kansas State, bad Colorado. Again, that offensive line. I'm always on that offensive line. It sucked last year. It still sucks this year. The defensive line can't catch a cold. As you saw if you watched the Kansas State game. Great job, defensive line coach Warren Sapp. So good. Back on your neck. I'm of the mindset that, Colorado should be able to win 6 games in these next few games. But I mean, I think that game just says that Colorado can be had, especially when their defense, I've said this before a few weeks ago, like when Shedeur and Travis Hunter aren't going God mode, like it's over for Colorado. That's just, it is what it is, man. So this is good Kansas State, bad Colorado. Morgan?
Yeah, I was at a wedding on Saturday. I didn't get to watch any college football. I saw some highlights from it. But yeah, Shedeur has those moments where he
forgets how to play football.
I was gonna say, I was like, if I said that too much, he kind of forgets how to play football. And we all, I think Deion is what Deion is, I guess, if that makes sense. I don't know if he's not the worst coach, but I don't necessarily know if he's the coach I'd want to have in hard moments. But I mean, good for Kansas State. Big win for them. Big win over, it's always good to beat a Heisman candidate, projected number 1 draft pick. So yeah, good for them.
All right, so moving right along then. Penn State survives over USC. Now, again, play-by-play. Before this game, I did an article for Last Word on Sports, which is also downhere.com on Gorshan Yabusele. I saw the score, and I was kind of confused because Penn State was losing, and they were down by a lot to USC, right? And what I said last week on this show, I said, Morgan, they're going to have jet troubles, and Morgan was saying, that's the excuse, Kylan. I was trying to tell her. But then it looked kind of ugly. But then Penn State found their way. the best tight end, I think, in football. Tyler Bennett, I believe is his name. Morgan will look me up and correct me. Penn State tight end, future number one pick. May end up being a future Eagle or future Giant. It's
Tyler Warren.
Tyler, see, I knew it was Tyler something. Tyler Warren, came up really big, willed them back into this game along with Drew Allers. Like, Penn State was really good. This is why I keep saying I think Penn State is one of the top teams in college football, and they showed it. Like, again, it's always great to dominate, but I said this about the 49ers. Like, I want to see you go through some adversity. And I think a game like this, Penn State can kind of lean on when they don't have it, they found it, right? Like, and I think that having a new offensive coordinator, being able to play on the offensive front foot has really helped them. So I'm of the mindset that this was great for Penn State. A lot of people, obviously I didn't go. I got accepted to Penn State, but didn't go there. But I'm of the mindset that as a Penn State fan, obviously I was a Penn State fan because of birth, because of being born in the state of Pennsylvania before I was a Syracuse fan. So I don't want the Syracuse alums who hear me say this to be like, oh my God, but you went to Syracuse again. State that I'm born in over school that I went to, but like I am of the mindset that, I think that Penn State will be able to be in the 12-team playoff. There'll be a hard out for anybody that they play. And I think that, like I said, a game like this is something that they can lean on when they don't have it. And, obviously Penn State's season for a lot of people who are way more affiliated with the college than I am, they live and die by obviously Penn State, Ohio State, which happens in a few weeks. I mean, I'm going to tell y'all, and we'll get to this in a minute, Ohio State looks like they have fallen off. Ryan Day looks like he's basically just waiting to be fired. So, I'm of the mindset that Penn State should win this game pretty handily. I have no sourcing on this. I'm just looking at how Ohio State has fallen off and think that Ryan Day isn't long for being the Ohio State football coach much longer. But I think this is great for Penn State. Obviously, good comeback, but great to go through some adversity, as Morgan pointed out earlier.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence. Go ahead, Morgan.
Yeah. No, I think what you said is perfect. It wasn't, I think when you're watching the end of the game, you were like, wow, like Penn State, why are they celebrating so much? It's USC, blah, blah, blah. I don't think it's necessarily who they beat. It's in the manner that they did beat them. Late game comebacks and overtime wins are exciting no matter who you're playing. Yeah. Should they maybe have beaten USC by a lot and earlier in the game? Maybe, but that doesn't matter when you get to overtime and you're at risk of becoming not undefeated. You have to play it as if you're playing the number one team in the country.
Amen. So moving right along to what we actually want to talk about, Syracuse and JMU. Both won. Morgan missed the memo. You're supposed to.
I know. I was at a workout class. I should have thrown on my JMU sweatshirt. Just clean my room today. I know I have all my JMU stuff in one section.
Rep your school. I mean, I'll let you go first since your school started the football week last week. Go ahead, JMU.
It was a nice comeback win. We needed it. Losing to UL Monroe was devastating and not a good situation for JMU, especially when you're in the lower conferences. Every win really matters if you're trying to get into the playoffs. I still think there's a chance. I think if we win out and continue to dominate like we have, there's a higher level chance that we will win. But or not win. We will get into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But I like how JMU is looking. I like the way that our coaching staff is putting things together. I think the biggest thing, their one loss of the season, I really think was because they got lazy and they got complacent. And I think that losing that game was almost a good thing. Kind of like what we were just talking about, is that you can't get complacent in college football. All these athletes are D1 athletes, and if you get complacent, you could lose. We've seen it happen multiple times this year.
Okay. Hey man, look, I'm just here to uplift my Syracuse Orange. Again, man, beat UNLV. That went to overtime. You want to talk about a game that I was sweating through? I had to go through to an orientation for a ministry that I lead at my church as well the next day. So I couldn't really stay up for it. But beat UNLV, then to come back and beat NC State in their house on prime time, ESPN, both our schools on prime time, like, and dominate NC State like that. Now, I thought Syracuse would win, but I think that they would just dominate like they dominated. I mean, what a win, man. 5-1 now, like 4-1. Coach Fran Brown looking good. The football team.
You guys got a top 20 matchup this week. Yeah. Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah. Well, Syracuse Pittsburgh. That's always good. I think the Orange should win. That'll probably be an ugly game, but they'll win. I think that Syracuse has a quarterback. I mean, this is what happens when you have a quarterback. Fran Brown really hit the South Jersey connections hard. I had no idea Kyle McCord was from South Jersey until I looked it up. I was like, oh, he doesn't even look like he's from this area, but he is. So shout out to him. But I'm just of the mindset that Syracuse looks good. I don't know if they'll be able to make. I'm not going to declaratively say that they'll be in the 12-team playoffs like Morgan just did for JMU, but they'll be in a good bowl game. And I just think that Syracuse looks very, very good. I'm surprised that they are not ranked. They should be ranked.
They got votes, didn't they?
I think they did, but they're still not. Beat UNLV, beat NC State, two former ranked teams, one that was ranked at the time. I mean, I guess they'll be ranked eventually, but Syracuse looks good. JMU looks good. I mean, what more do you want, man? Good job on both our football teams, and can't wait for basketball season. Syracuse Orange looking good. Keon Anthony will be coming. I have no sourcing on this, so I don't want any Syracuse fans that hang on my every word to think that I've talked to Carmelo or Lala in any way. I have not, or Keon himself. Unique us people with unique K names, we stick together. So I think he'll be a Syracuse Orange. I think it was written in the stars when he was born that he'll end up in Syracuse. I'll be very shocked if he didn't end up in Syracuse. So that's why I'm at with it. Syracuse basketball coming soon. Look out for them to be ruining your brackets in a few months. But Syracuse football is all about them. JMU football. I don't know about JMU basketball.
We were good last year.
Morgan's a UConn.
We beat Wisconsin last year.
You did. But again, I told you this because you were depressed about this more than I was. I said you're gonna beat Wisconsin by default. But
So we got Georgia Southern this week, Saturday at 4. Big game. Okay. Georgia Southern's not a cupcake win in any manner in the Sun Belt. So our final stretch of our season is definitely our hardest. We have our big, our last 3 games are ODU, App State, and Marshall. So we overcame Coastal, which is always a good team. A 7-39 win is always good, but can't take your foot off the gas in college football.
Yeah, I think Syracuse's hardest game after this, I think, is Miami, which isn't. I mean, Miami's good, so they'll end up being ranked probably very, very soon.
And speaking of not being able to take your foot off of the brakes, Ohio State falls.
That's what we call a tease, baby. I mean, that right there, which should get you a new house, baby. That's what.
Not that this is an upset per se. It was the 2-3 game, or 2-3 or 3-4.
2-3. You're right.
3-4.
2-3.
But 2-3, yeah. But Oregon looks like the real deal this year. I mean, it was a great game. Oregon has every right to be absolutely over the moon, ecstatic, pumped. It was. I love the parody. I love seeing all of this. It's exciting to me that Oregon overtook
it's amazing.
Ohio State. I looking at the rankings, I don't necessarily think that Penn State should have jumped above Ohio State. I thought that Oregon, I mean, I know they're undefeated, so it's hard not to put them there, but an overtime win against an unranked team versus a close game against a ranked opponent, against the opponent that's one level below you. I still think that Ohio State should have been 3, but if you're gonna, you can't. There's no perfect there's no perfect system, I guess, for the AP rankings, and I guess in the reality, it doesn't matter. And I know that the Big Ten junkies love to see they have one three teams in the top 10. Three,
Football.
4, 5, 6 teams in the top 25. So the Big Ten is the real deal this year. Not that they're not the real deal every year, but you know they're up there with the SEC, competing with trying to be the powerhouse of football.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the mindset that this was Nike money. For those of you that don't know, because I'm not gonna take into account that everybody knows who's an alum of what school. Phil Knight went to the founder and chairman, I believe, of Nike. He went to Oregon. So The reason why Oregon has so much facilities, God level facilities, and are able to put together all-star teams in football and basketball specifically is because of all of that Nike money. For those of you that are like, man, Oregon has better Nikes than I have in my closet, that's why. And also Nike's corporate headquarters, I believe, is in Beaverton, Oregon. Don't get me the line how far Beaverton, Oregon is from whatever part from Eugene. But he went there, so that is why it's amazing what Nike money can buy you. So yeah, I mean, I think their athletic stadium is the Knight Athletic Stadium as well. So I mean, Phil Knight is all over that with his money. But even if it wasn't for all of that Nike NIL money that they get, like Oregon was dominant last year. They just Washington was just better than them. But Oregon has always been a football powerhouse for a long time, even since Morgan and I were little kids. But I mean, they just gotten better talent. The transfer portal has really brought a lot of parity to football as well.
Yes.
But I just think Ohio State isn't really that good. This kind of gets into our next question. I think they fell off. I think that, a lot of Ohio State fans were riding Kyle McCord, but I think he's better than Will Howard. I honestly, I mean, just kind of giving away. I mean, there's bigger stuff here in Philly that has trumped who he's not him was going to be. But Will Howard, what are you doing, dog? Yelling at a student for being too close to you at a camera, and he's the camera guy. Like, come on now, dog. What a jerk move. There's a word I wanted to use more better than that, but what a jerk move. What a unprofessional move as a football player who probably wants to be in the NFL. Like, what are you doing? You go to Ohio State. I'm of the mindset that some people go to schools and then besmirch the schools while they're there. Will Howard, I think, isn't him. I think that there are a lot of Ohio State fans that wish they didn't run Kyle McCord out of town and run him to Syracuse, New York. Thank you, by the way, Ohio State. I'm of the mindset that Ohio State's best quarterback is currently playing for Syracuse. And I am of the mindset that Will Howard isn't him. I'm of the mindset that Ohio State is falling off. They have a really good wide receiver in Carter, but I mean, I think that's it. Like, I don't look at Ohio State. I know they got Justin as well as their best running back, but there's nothing at Ohio State that scares me. Now, Oregon, they got some dogs. They obviously got, they obviously have a good coach in Dan Lanning, who obviously knows how to bend the rules with the 12 man on the field, a loophole that I don't think any of us knew about. If you were counting, those that don't know what happened during the last in the game, right, Morgan? They had, I think it was 12 men on the field. And obviously, if you're a football fan and you know the rules, like that is a rule that is bad in the NFL. But apparently, there's a loophole where you can't have 12 men on the field in the NCAA rule in college football. So, Ohio State clearly.
Interesting. They go back and forth of, was it on purpose? Was it not on purpose? In the post game press conference, when asked, he kind of like slyly smiled and was like, no. And then now there's like an investigation, and they're saying they're going to get fined. But other people are like, well, how can you fine them? They already got a 5-yard penalty. The fine is a 5-yard penalty. Whatever. I wish I was a rules expert and understood it a little bit more so I could explain it to you guys, but
I think that is the rule, that you could have 12 men on the field as long as it's not I think it's you get a chance, like the offense gets a chance to sub in. Y'all know how weird college football is. I think that is the rule. And Ohio State, again, I hate to lose a Bill Belichick saying Not really, but if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, right? So I mean, like Ohio State, that's what I mean. A quarterback wins and loses you games. I mean, Will Howard should have been better. And I mean, Ryan Day saw 12 mil on the field, didn't call a timeout, didn't match it. So I think Oregon, had a chance to beat Ohio State at its own game, and Oregon's just the better team, the more talented team. I mean, you kind of saw that Dylan Gabriel. I mean, what more can you say, man? I think if Shedeur Sanders didn't exist, he'd be the number one pick. I think because I think he's the best quarterback, like the best pure quarterback. Again, it was Michael Penix last year. It's Dylan Gabriel this year. Like the best quarterback in this draft class is Dylan Gabriel. But Shedeur Sanders is obviously getting much more love. But the best pure quarterback in this upcoming draft class, Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
But moving right along to what we've been leading into, is Ohio State still a threat in this new fully loaded Big Ten? No. It's over. It's over for Ohio State. Sorry to you, the Ohio State fans. I hate the fact that most of these colleges now have "the" in front of it to try to make themselves feel more important than they are. And you don't see Syracuse calling itself the Syracuse University. I don't know why you need to be the Ohio State University. But anyway, Ohio State isn't a threat anymore, especially like now that they don't have a quarterback and they really just have a running back and a wide receiver. I think that they need a quarterback. They need to hit the transfer portal hard, play the game in this new era of college football. But I think like Oregon's just better. Penn State's just better. Even Michigan, as down as they are, they're probably better than Ohio State right now. Like, I'm of the mindset that Ohio State just is probably now in the mid tier of the Big Ten, because I think the upper tier is Penn State and everybody else. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased, but I think that Penn State has proven right now, just by their record outside of Oregon, that they're the best team in the Big Ten. And I don't know if Oregon and Penn State play each other this year. I doubt it. But maybe they do. But it might end up just being in the Big Ten championship game. I think that'll be whoever wins right now. It's between Penn State and Oregon. Whoever wins that Big Ten title game. Obviously, I know Penn State fans are saying, Kylan, don't count your eggs before you hatch. They still have to play Ohio State, but I'm pretty sure that Penn State will beat Ohio State. I haven't been more sure about it than
they're built. If it was going to happen any year, it's going to happen this year. They're kind of built for it this year. Yeah. So
Ryan Day is a lame duck coach who's going to be fired. Like, again, no sourcing, but I mean, Morgan and I
people are saying they're like, what happened at the Ohio State Oregon game? People are literally saying Ohio State Ryan Day did. So, yeah, I agree with you. They are. I don't want to say they're not a threat, but they are definitely not the threat that they used to be at all. I think there are way scarier teams in the Big Ten. So moving along. Sorry, I am like dying over here. Is Alabama going to suffer another surprising loss? I think that Alabama has to be way carefuler than they normally are. I think we're not used to seeing an Alabama team that necessarily has to worry about not losing, because that's not fair, because I feel like you always, again, it's college football, you always have to worry about losing, but losing to the level of teams that they are losing to. Like, I'm looking at this Alabama LSU game in 2 weeks, and I would be really nervous if I were LSU. I'm looking at this Alabama Oklahoma game in 3 weeks. I'd be nervous for a month. I'd be nervous about that. And it comes down to it at the end of the season. I'm looking at Auburn, and I'm not saying that Auburn's a great team, but Auburn is like, maybe this is our chance to beat Alabama in the recent years, and they're gonna really, really, really go out there and kick butt. So I would say, yeah, I think, and again, I don't know if you could consider LSU a surprising loss, but I don't think they're gonna lose to Mercer. I mean, Missouri is ranked 19. That's in 2 weeks. I can see that happening. Tennessee this week is ranked 11. I think that they have a harder schedule than they're used to playing in the SEC, if that makes sense. I think in the past, you're not worried about a Tennessee, a Missouri. You're always probably worried a little bit about LSU, but I think the next two games are going to be tough, and I can definitely see them dropping one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Tennessee, Alabama is is feeling what it was like. UConn kind of felt this after Jim Calhoun left. Like you're seeing what it's like when you no longer have the coaching advantage anymore. Like they have, obviously, as Morgan pointed out a few segments ago, like in this NIL world now, Alabama does not have the overwhelming talent that they've had. They never had it now since Georgia won. Georgia's basically been like the class of the SEC as far as talent for a while now anyway. But to say this, I mean, this is what happens when you lose the coaching advantage now. Kalen DeBoer, obviously, shout out to my fellow unique guy with a K name, but like, he did go to the title game, but obviously it didn't work out for him, got outclassed in that game. But, I'm not saying that he's a bad coach, but I just think he's not Nick Saban. And like you said, I think that Oklahoma game in a few months, I think that I don't want to be disrespectful. I think that we're talking about a bad put that in quotation marks season of Alabama being like a 3-loss Alabama team in a year where it's the first year you have a 12-team playoff. Alabama, just because it's Alabama, we kind of got a picture of this last time when Morgan was saying, "Oh, Colin, Alabama's going to get in," and I was like, I don't know if they would move Georgia out the way for Alabama. And I was wrong. Morgan called it. Alabama and Texas got in over Georgia. Me and everybody else was really upset about it. Y'all remember I spent a few segments telling the NCAA they aren't them because they screwed over Georgia. I think that's where it's at. Like you'll probably see a 2 or 3 loss Alabama team. So for Alabama fans that watch this segment, that watch this show, you'll probably end up seeing 2 more losses. I don't know. You'll either be a 2 or 3 loss team. You'll still make the playoffs because you're Alabama. But I just think that you don't have the talent. You obviously have the talent advantage in the SEC. You're not better than Georgia talent wise, but you are because you beat them already. But now you're seeing where Georgia and Alabama aren't necessarily the class of the SEC, right? You got Oklahoma, you got Texas. I mean, we're gonna get to this next segment, but Texas, Georgia this week, what a game! Like Georgia should probably win that, and Georgia will have a chance to rebound after the Alabama game. But I just also think that I just want to put this out there that I think that for lack of a better term, Alabama just had their Super Bowl, which was beating Georgia in a regular season game for the first time in a while. I think right now you're seeing, and Morgan kind of pointed this out when this game happened a few weeks ago, that you're kind of seeing the letdown, right? They got up all that energy to beat Georgia, and then they lost to Vanderbilt, barely beat South Carolina yesterday, last week. So, I mean, like, I'm on the mindset that right now what's going on is that they're having a letdown. This happened under Nick Saban, too. Like, they get up for big games, then their talent had to drag them over the finish line. This happens a lot in football where you're the talented team and you just rely on your talent to drag you over the finish line. And so Alabama can't live through this, especially with Texas and Oklahoma now in the SEC. But I think that they will still be in the playoffs. But I think, they're probably due for a couple more surprising. I don't really want to call them surprising losses because losing to Oklahoma or Texas, you wouldn't really call that a surprising loss, especially with where they are in the rankings. But yeah, I think that they're due for either 1 more or 2 more losses.
Yeah.
So moving right along while I pull it up, Morgan, I know I just talked about one, but what are the most intriguing matchups in college football this weekend? I know if you want to go in.
Honestly, the Alabama Tennessee game is intriguing to me. That's Saturday at 3:30. I think that we don't see Tennessee, I think, all the time as being a team that is scary, I guess. But what do we got on here? Michigan, Illinois, I think is a good game.
That should be an upset. Illinois should win that game.
I think I actually agree with you. I think that one, but I mean, I think the biggest game of the week is the Texas Georgia game. Would you agree that there's not necessarily a game that's bigger than that?
Yeah, I think you and I agree on that. Texas, Georgia, LSU, Arkansas could be a banger. I mean, Arkansas just did beat Tennessee.
Yeah.
Uh, so SMU. Oh no, that's next. That's next week. Syracuse, Pittsburgh is the October 24th. So they're on a bye this week. Uh,
Okay.
Syracuse. I think Miami, Louisville. I think will be good. You touched on, Army and Navy both being ranked this week. What a surprise there. Um, Clemson, Virginia. But I think you're right that I think Michigan, Illinois, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, Texas are the three best games on the schedule. You know, Kansas State, I guess Colorado's on a bye too. Yeah, I think those are the intriguing games: Georgia, Texas, Michigan, Illinois.
Yeah.
Um, what I say? What else I say? LSU, Arkansas, just off the strength of Arkansas beating Tennessee a few weeks ago. So I think that kind of covers that.
Yeah.
Um, and again, y'all, like last time, Morgan and I told y'all to do something else. Wound up being a weekend of upsets. So
I know.
don't go apple picking this weekend, go to your wedding, but have your phone on if you got a wedding because I know it's fall. So a lot of y'all Halloween lovers, Morgan there's a lot of Halloween people that been at me. Let me just say, like, I may not like this time of year. I like this time of year sports wise for basketball because basketball is back. But
That's fair.
the movies that I like, obviously, are the movies that we grew up on: Halloween Town 1, 2, and 3. Casper Meets Wendy, the Casper movie. From those of you who are '90s babies, those exactly what I'm talking about. Trying to think what else are my other kitty Halloween stuff because Morgan knows I can't stand horror. so I'm not actually a horror person. I don't know if she is. I
I
thought we
love
talked
horror
about this.
movies, but I haven't watched them in a very long time because Dan does not like them. So,
Okay, see, I'm in good company.
but I don't
Dan
like
needs them
watching
too.
them by myself. Like I wouldn't watch. I'm not gonna watch a horror movie by myself. That's so boring. Why would
I
I
mean,
do that?
you have the dogs.
Yeah, but they'll just fall asleep. Like Mike is just or Bax is just next to me completely asleep right now. I'm like, okay.
All right. So yeah, that's our college football segment. So definitely check out those matchups.
Yeah.
We kind of went on a tangent there with the horror movie stuff because I just can't stand them. But for the Sixers, I told y'all we get some basketball updates. Unfortunately, for a lot of Sixers fans, they were hyperventilating. Morgan probably saw me comment them down on Facebook and stuff as they called me everything but a child of God. But I'm optimistic when it comes to this. Paul George hyperextends his knee. He had an MRI, revealed a bruise. So my Sixers fans, breathe. Um, it's a bruised knee. He should be fine. He's going to be reevaluated next week. I believe that Joel Embiid. Let me just help y'all out. Joel Embiid is going to play next week against the Bucks. I believe barring a setback that Paul George will play as well.
Okay.
I think a bruised knee is something you can play through, and he's been optimistic. He's been in media doing the media stuff. He's been around the facility. He was there today. Nick Nurse said he should have more updates on Joel Embiid's going to play. Like he played during the Olympics, and again, barring a setback, he'll play. And he looked fine. Morgan did the Olympics as well. He looked fine. He'll play. This is just management from the Olympics, but he'll play. He's been scrimmaging. He's been doing everything else, but actually like doing stuff at practice. So he's gonna play. I think Paul George will play. I think that the Sixers should beat the Bucks, whether Paul George plays or not, next week. Early prediction there. But yeah, I think Paul George will be fine. I think that there's going to be a lot of managing with the Sixers this year, but I think that this is the best chance that they have to win a championship in a long time these next few years. So I think that this is fine. All Sixers fans relax. Paul George will be fine. It's a bruised knee. Morgan and I both. I mean, I haven't injured my knee, but knees are weird things in basketball. But I think he'll be fine. You got anything on this?
No, knees are always scary. I've never done anything serious to my knee, but I've seen plenty of serious knee injuries happen, and they are scary. So wishing him the best, and ice, rest, heat. That's what people say to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, he says he's not worried about it. I think he knows his body better than any of us. So, and so far he's been right. Right, it was
Yeah.
just a bruise instead of a hyperextension. So it's all good. A lot of us have learned way more about knees than we want to. As Sixers fans. So moving right along, Joel Embiid, another one that sent shockwaves around national media and around national local media and the Sixers fans. Joel Embiid, he said, the quote, let me not, is that he guessed he would never play in a back-to-back throughout the rest of his career now. But Joel Embiid may not play in back-to-backs this season as the Sixers looks to keep him healthy. And my reaction to this is, he's 30. He's got his MVP. He's got his All-NBAs. Those of you that are better at math than me, the Sixers playing 15 back-to-backs of 82. That would put him, if he doesn't play at all 15 back-to-backs, right at the threshold of games he needs to play to be considered 65 games. I think he's going to play 65 to 70 games this year, miss about 12 games in management. I mean, he's 30. He's still a superstar. As those of you who watch the Olympics saw, Joel Embiid is that guy. I mean, he is the best big man, best center in basketball. He needs to manage his body. I'm happy that he's taking that seriously. Lost 25 to 30 pounds. I will probably lose more weight. I think he's fine. I think it'll be great for the Sixers. I think they'll still be a top 2 seed in the East. I think that they'll more than likely make the finals this year. I just think this is what you got to do when you have a 30-year-old big man who's just all world. I think that, he says he's looking at Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan missed a lot of games and won 5 rings. So I think that's a great model, a great model to have. So I'm of the mindset that, if Joel Embiid likes what's going on, and if everybody's down, then who am I to say, it's a bad thing? A lot of people have been wanting him to manage his body better, and he's doing it in his 30s, and that's good. And that should end in a couple of Sixers titles to me. Morgan?
I think that sounds exactly fair.
Yeah. All right, so moving right along to what everyone is asking what Morgan is doing on that computer, but she is keeping up with this game. New York Liberty versus the Minnesota Lynx, which is happening right now. Morgan, you got an update for us? Did the Lynx win, or did the Liberty win?
I do. I want to hear what you think happened, though.
Oh, I think because this is.
I mean, it's crazy. There's 20 seconds left. The Liberty are up by 2.
This has switched. This is switched to Minnesota's home territory. So I think the Lynx will pull it out either this game or next game. But you said it's 20 seconds left. I think the Lynx have the Liberty now that it's switched back. I think you're gonna get a tied series either way. I think they're gonna split these games.
Yeah. So I will keep you guys updated. I actually will change it on here so I can update you in live time rather than just watching the box score.
All right. So yeah, I mean, I think
the things I do for you, the multitude of multitasking I'm doing to talk, watch, report, it's just pure professionalism right here.
We do multitasking. That's what we do all the time.
All right, we got Nafisa. We got your girl. Your girl is up shooting free throws right now. Game is tied with 16 seconds left.
Overtime. We're going to overtime.
Unless someone misses a layup, which did happen in the first game.
All right.
But you know what? I think that our analysis before this series started was pretty spot on.
Yep.
That New York has the better team, but they're tired and they are mentally and physically exhausted, whereas Minnesota might not necessarily have the depth that they do, but the players that they have are well rested. They are ready to roll, and they have a lot of energy out there. I think this is I haven't seen any of the numbers, but I'm assuming this has got to be one of the highest watched WNBA finals.
1.1 million watched game 1. I don't know if we have the numbers for game 2, but
I mean, I've just seen people talking about it everywhere, which is awesome. I had a ton of coworkers that actually got to go to the game. If it comes back to New York, I would love to try and go. But
it will. Like I said, they're going to split. Whoever loses this game is going to win the next game. They're going to split. It'll end either in Minnesota or New York. I think this is definitely going 7. I don't even know this 7-game series.
It's just really fun to have a WNBA game on that's packed to the brim with people, noisemakers. I mean, there's not a empty seat in this arena. It is jam packed. All right, we got 14, 13,
I
12,
think, yeah,
10.
the length.
We got a foul, and it looks like nope, not a shooting foul. So we got 10.9 seconds left. The Liberty are taking it out. They could technically, I believe, hold it if they wanted to force an OT, which would make sense.
I mean, they're going to shoot. This will probably end up Sabrina or
Sabrina has the ball. Huge long three. Holy crap. She just swished a three from maybe 6 feet back from the line.
Oh, she made it?
With 1 second left, yeah.
Well, she made it. I was about to say. I was about to say Sabrina three.
I mean, how far she is. I mean, she's a good 5 feet back from the 3 line. Just launched it. And just full swish, not even a bank. 1 second left. It looks like the Liberty are going to take this home. It'll be, well, not take it home. They'll win this. Series is tied at 1.
So it'll be 2-1 Liberty. If
really close. The Minnesota had a good shot there. But yeah, so Sabrina Ionescu doing what Sabrina Ionescu does best.
Yeah,
3-pointers.
Yeah, I think so. I think like the only other thing that we didn't talk about when this thing started was that the only advantage that the Lynx have other than hustle players is they have the coaching advantage. Like I think you would take Cheryl Reeve over the Liberty's coach. I think the Liberty's coach is a good coach, but I think she has a ways to go. Cheryl Reeve has won titles. The Lynx have won titles. Obviously, these current players haven't won anything yet. But the Lynx are a really good team. They're the team that wins the most in Minnesota because they've won more rings, like 4 over the past couple of years. So I'm just of the mindset that the Lynx have the coaching advantage, but again, the talent advantage is the Liberties. So again, this is the Liberty series to lose. I think I said Liberty in 6, but I really wanted to say Minnesota in 6, but I just couldn't get over the talent advantage as we're seeing with Sabrina.
I mean, she's an absolute cheat code when it comes to women's basketball.
Yeah. I mean, when you're swishing threes from half court, like that's Steph Curry, Gene. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, New York looks like if all goes well that they'll finally get a championship because they haven't won anything since 2009. So this looks like the Liberty will bring a championship home to you, degenerate New Yorkers. I know.
Yeah. Hey, we might get 2. The Yankees are looking pretty good too. So Mets are currently down, I believe 0-2. I'll switch back over to that game.
I mean,
guys, I'm keeping everybody updated on all the games as they're happening.
Let me just help you out. It's over for the Mets. The Yankees are gonna either lose. They probably won't lose in the ALCS, but they'll lose in the World Series to the Dodgers.
Yeah, no, this game is not looking good. Bottom of the 6th, the Dodgers are up 4-0. So
yeah, it's over for the Mets.
Moving on. We keep doing this.
Golden State Valkyries hire Natalie Nakaze, and she becomes the first Asian American head coach in WNBA history. Morgan, it is only fair. This is about the WNBA that I let you lead. Ladies first. Go ahead.
This is great. I think it's a great hire. I think that the Golden State Valkyries are doing everything right. I think that they have started out their WNBA teamdom in a solid way. I think just from across the board, people love the name. People love all the things that they're doing. They are understanding that it is a women league, and I think that women league is they do better when women are in charge, and I think that that's incredible. And the fact that she's not only a fierce lady, she's an Asian American and is the first Asian American to be hired as a head coach in WNBA history is great. So the Golden State Valkyries, like I said, they're starting out on a hot foot. They're making they're doing great things, and I think that people are really excited about them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is great for her, for the Asian and Pacific Islander community. It's great for Golden State, obviously being in San Fran in the Bay Area. The one thing anybody who knows anything about San Francisco knows is that there is a very heavy Asian American population out there. So great for them to see people. Representation matters so much. We'll see who the players end up being. I don't imagine the Valkyries will be competing for a playoff spot immediately, but we have to wait for the expansion draft. But this is a good first step, good first start, good job all around. We often see teams make mistakes with their first coaching hire, but great pick. By all intents and purposes, it seems like she's a very well respected assistant coach and very, very respected basketball mind. So, what else? What else can I say? I mean, speaking of all right basketball minds, I mean, what a tease this is. Kathy Engelbert, before this all started last week, I mean, she must have listened to this podcast because I believe we just talked about this like last week or the week before last. Kathy Engelbert says the WNBA playoffs will change the playoff format. For you Caitlin Clark fans, best of 3 now in the first round. The finals will be best of 7 series, so I guess it's best of 5 or whatever now. And the season is going up to 44 games. I mean, again, this is another segment where we're leading with the WNBA. So I'll let Morgan go first again. Morgan, your reaction to this date? She must listen to this podcast.
Yeah, I think that it's I think that it's great. I think that as they continue to expand, they're going to have to obviously continue to add games. There's obviously a want for it, which is exciting. And I think that it's great that they're listening to the want of the viewers. I think the WNBA does a really good job of being in tune with what people are saying about them and their critiques and things. And I think that they try to do their best to change them in a timely manner, which is exciting. And I'm happy. We've been saying it. We've been saying it for forever. This is great. What do you think?
Yeah, so I'm a little. The one thing I don't like is that I thought the finals should have always been best of 7. So I'm kind of mad that like it's a best of 5, best of 6, whatever it is. It should have always been the final. The championship game, especially in basketball, hockey, and baseball, should always be 7 games. So I don't know why it took them this long to do this, but I'm happy about that. It should always be 7. It's the final game of your season. It should be best of 7. You should have to win 4 times. I don't know why they made it 3. I guess to get them to Europe faster. Has nothing to do with this, but unfortunate shout out to Nika Mule. Get well soon. Tore her ACL and MCL playing over there in Russia. But yeah, I think this is good, man. We talked about it like the wild card series, for lack of a better term, should be best of 3. The lower seeded team should get a chance to host a home game, and I was saying that before. Caitlin Clark, for those of you that care about this, got screwed over. But to not get screwed over, win more games. So I'm of the mindset that this is great. I still think either way, just putting it on the foot that people are thinking of, like even if Caitlin Clark and them had won another game, like they were still going to lose to Connecticut. So it didn't really matter. They were going to get eliminated one way or the other. But having the higher seeded team host game 1 and 3 makes sense. I still think that it'll be over before then, more than likely, because the higher seeded team will probably win game 2 as well. But I'm just of the mindset that this is great. Again, the final should have always been best of 7.
Yeah.
Can't argue with more games. Hopefully equal pay comes with that as well. But also, I just want to make sure the WNBA put your games on places where people can find it. Put it on ABC, put it on main CBS, new TV deal, put it on main NBC. Like, get your games on more, because I care way more about a WNBA game than I do about, obviously don't compete with football, but you can't help it because of when your season is. But I care more about that on main NBC than I would whatever. No disrespect to our NASCAR fans who watch this show, but then I care about a NASCAR race at the Roval for a championship that only a select few care about anyway. So I'm just of the mindset that put this on channels where people can find it. Put it on later, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, whatever. Let me just be real. Only the hardcore of the hardcore watch SNF, especially if your team is on it. I'm of the mindset that you can put the games on later, especially if it's your finals. Put it on later. The NBA does it. They don't care. Baseball does it. It doesn't care. put your game. The NHL does it. Put your games on later. Don't put it on. Don't put your game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4 on at 1 o'clock when most people are watching football. Like, don't do it. But I'm happy for Kathy Engelbert. You know, I got her out of here when she got it wrong with the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese thing. So I got to give her credit where credit is due. Good job. Sometimes this stuff gets unfortunate, so we have to cover some unfortunate stuff. Morgan and I would rather cover the fortunate stuff, but when we have some terrible things that happen, we got to cover it. So unfortunate black eye on this finals, which has nothing to do with the Liberty or the Lynx, but unfortunately, Breanna Stewart's wife, sometime in these last few days, received an email threatening her and their family. Those of you that don't know, Breanna Stewart is gay. She is a member of the LGBTQI plus community. And unfortunately, somebody found out her wife's email address and sent them a very, very threatening email, which caused them Morgan might have more details than I do, but I believe that,
I have a statement from her, kind of what she said. She said it came after game 1 loss, and sometimes people are taking things too far and too out of context. And Marta had gotten homophobic death threats. A few other things have happened, but just making sure that we're doing as much as possible to make sure that our team and league is aware of the situation and continue to keep everybody safe.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that within that statement, they've had to move locations, move up security, and whatever house or apartment they live in. Very unfortunate, y'all. Taking sports a little too seriously. Morgan, again, I'm gonna let you go because this is more WNBA center. So obviously, you on this stuff when it comes to this.
Sorry, I might continue to sneeze.
You want me to start?
We've said this for a while that as amazing as the WNBA fans are, sometimes they tend to take things a little bit too far and too seriously, and we're living in a world now, that people aren't afraid to say what they feel, for better or for worse. Sometimes that's not a bad thing. Sometimes that's a good thing. But in this case, just keep your mouth shut. I mean, I don't know if they don't really get into it if it stems from them losing and it being a Liberty fan that was upset with the loss, or if it's just a homophobic person that found out that she is gay and married to a woman.
We don't know.
We don't know. We probably won't ever know, and that's not for us to know. What we do know is that stop making stuff. I mean, I hope that no one listening to this is somebody that would do something like this, because realistically, and Kylan can disagree with me if he wants, I don't want people that are going to send emails like this. You're not a fan of me, and I'm not a fan of you. So, I understand being upset that your team lost or whatever, but there is never, ever a reason to send a homophobic or a death threat to someone ever, no matter what. There's just no excuse for that. On a positive side, I if you haven't, and I highly encourage you to, is to go to Breanna Stewart's TikTok or Instagram and watch her videos with her and her wife and her kids. They are lovely. They are an amazing, adorable, wonderful family. She did some hysterical, awesome stuff during the Olympics. They are a precious, sweet little family. Her older daughter goes to practices with her sometimes, and she is adorable and hysterical. And, I feel for them, and I hope that, you never know what level of threats these are, but even at the lowest level of them, that's scary. And, I'm not a mom yet, but I have, a baby girl growing inside me right now. And I can only imagine how scary that's gotta be for a mom, no matter how rich and famous you are and how much security you have, that's still scary that someone was able to find that. And again, we hope that this is just an angry person that just needed to vent on the internet and not actually going to do anything. But again, the kind of last thing I'll say about this is, like, there should never be a reason where somebody gets this upset about a loss of any kind of any sport ever. that you feel the need to send a death threat to somebody, homophobic or not. I don't care if you're sending it to Patrick Mahomes after a loss, or you're sending it to, Kelsey Plum after a loss. So, both straight athletes. Just stop. There's no need for it ever. And there's not a single circumstance that you could tell me that I would be like, oh yeah, no, that's a reasonable time to send a death threat to someone.
Mm-hmm. No, I think we're in agreement, and I would just want to say, like, whether you agree or not with the life choices that Breanna Stewart and her wife made, like, they are a family, recognized by law, and I know that there are a lot of people that, whether they have a problem with it or not, they're not fans of that community, like, and whatever. But again, I echo what Morgan said, right? And if you are listening to this podcast and you are that fanatical about sports that you need to send that to somebody and just show your hate like that, like, that's not the way to show any type of love, whether you're religious or not. And I'm just of the mindset that, like, that's not what we do here, right? That like, there are better ways to show sports frustration than somehow finding Breanna Stewart's wife's email address and randomly sending her an email. Like, just take a loss, go talk to people, go touch grass, do something else. Like,
take a shower, take a cold shower, whatever you need to do. Just
go to the bar. Go, again, I'm not condoning
go get a beer. Go get
angry
a beer.
drinking, but yeah, go do that. Go pick some. Even though I hate it, go pick some apples. Go do something normal instead of using Twitter fingers or whatever, email fingers to send an email, because now you're threatening and upending live young kids. I don't think the oldest child is older than like 4, right? Like, upending lives.
I think they're 4 and 2.
Yeah, upending lives for that, like, for basketball stuff. Like, Breanna Stewart, like, she's a great basketball player, one of the best basketball players in New York State history. Like, she does not need that, especially during a time where she should be focusing on winning another title, like, that she hasn't seen since she left Seattle. Like, but now she's got to worry all about that and stuff. Like, just it's not the way to do things. It's not what we do as sports fans. And again, like, if you're a fan of this podcast and you think that I'm going to condone that, I'm not. Like, I'm
no,
I've never been angry enough. Like, you people who do this, whether it's to straight athletes, even the black athletes, because this happens a lot. Like, obviously, it doesn't get to the level of this because obviously
it's normally
gay, so it goes to another level.
It's anger that's stemming from something else that is being manipulated into being angry about a loss or whatever that you rattle off, and now you're not talking about losses anymore. You're talking about
life choices. Like again, like, this happens too. I'm sure we talked about Alabama. I'm sure after the Vanderbilt loss, there were a bunch of black Alabama football players getting called all levels of N-words and slurs and everything else. Like, this happens all the time. Anytime somebody, especially star athletes, whether they be black, white, gay, or straight, they get this all the time. I mean, we've seen it with football players saying people DM them about fantasy and what they cost them in their parlays and stuff. But again, touch some grass, run, walk, do something else. Stop threatening these players, upending their lives, because this is real stuff. Like, we've seen it with presidents and politics and everything.
Yeah, and again, even if you think it's silly, like, imagine if it was your family. How could you not take something like that serious? Like, even if you're like, well, it was obviously a joke. Well, how do they know? They don't know you. They don't know that that's how you joke or whatever.
Right.
So,
and in this climate, you can't take people.
No.
Especially in 2024, you got to take it seriously, and it's very unfortunate. Breanna Stewart should be, like I said, focusing on winning a title and not winning a title and then immediately being like, well, I got to get a gun, I got to get security, like, going to the Liberty about this stuff and the WNBA about what they should be doing. So, I mean, and like, again, we gone from talking about two positive WNBA stories to this. But I mean, again, so close to a happy time of her lives. Like,
but again, let's
just,
take it. Let's before we move on to the next topic, let's wrap back around to the positive side of it. Go and learn a little bit about their beautiful little family. If you really want a smile, something that will just make you happy, go watch some of her videos with her and her daughter at practice. They're adorable and shaping the next generation of women in sports for whatever capacity that is. So go take that, go watch them. Say something nice to somebody today that you don't know.
Right. Yeah, and again, just my final thought, right? Like, whether you agree or disagree with the life choices that both of them have made, there is nothing that should ever take you to this. Like, doing the research to find, like, just think of the work that this person had to do. Doing the research to find this woman's email just to send this because you're angry, we think, over a loss that, as Morgan so eloquently said, you're twisting into a bigger political worldview. Like, we see this all the time. We talked about it in the Olympics with the transgender stuff, which was a real woman athlete, and this whole thing about that witch hunt and everything else. We touch on these serious topics, but I just want to close by saying, like, beautiful family, beautiful athlete. Like, again, don't let being upset about life choices make you do all this stuff where you're going to end up in jail and ruining your family and your life over sports. Like, and something that you could totally just keep to yourself. Like you did not have to show it like this.
All right. Well, it is 10:30 p.m. So we're going to hit on our last topic real fast because I'm starving. I need to eat something because if I don't eat every 2 hours, I get sick because that's what happens when you're pregnant, apparently. But Sportico is reporting that Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, and Josie Aldidoro, I think you say Aldidoro.
Yeah.
Are in talks to buy the majority stake of the Buffalo Bills. This comes after the news that Tom Brady was approved to buy a minority stake in the Las Vegas Raiders.
And again, it just says a lot about the sports with how loaded this past few days was, and we didn't even
talk about that. I think there's myself as well coming from some confusion. Like I don't. What is the point of being a minority owner besides like? You get tickets to the games. If these people could get tickets to the games anyway, I don't know. Like, if I was going to be an owner, I would want to be like actively a part of the decision making processes. And I don't think that 3 people splitting one minority stake is going to give that much. Like, I don't know. Maybe you get a free suite for the year. Like, I don't.
Maybe it's
or you just can say that you own a football team.
Right. Obviously, they're not the majority owners. Maybe this is just a bigger play that. Maybe the Pagulas will eventually sell to them, but I mean, it's a nice little start. I mean, obviously we talked about this. There is a lack of diversity when it comes to ownership. Obviously, I think it's just Magic Johnson, right, and Michael Jordan that own, and they're both minority stakeholders. But Michael Jordan with the Panthers and Magic Johnson with the Washington Commanders. But like I am of the mindset that there needs to be more diversity, especially in these upper level rooms of the NFL. So I'm all for more people of color, BIPOC people getting in on this, and obviously Byron. Oh man, the guy who was going to buy the Broncos was close, but the Broncos went to the Walmart billionaires. So, like, I'm of the mindset that there's only a few people who can buy football teams anyway. So, yeah, why not basketball and soccer players combining to get the Buffalo Bills? I mean, I don't know why you would want the Buffalo Bills, but maybe there's some special stuff with Buffalo for Vince Carter. Tracy
they are a fun organization, Kylan. Enjoy them. They are fun. Their fan base is fun. They're fun to watch. People like the Buffalo Bills. I mean, I hate to break it to you. I
mean, it's not like
you know this. The Bills are far more likable than the Eagles are. Far more likable.
Look, they also lose more too. So
that's fair, but they are far more likable.
I mean, that's great. That's great. Everybody, like I said, that's great. I don't have millions of dollars to push in on. I wish I did. But that's great for them. I'm all power to them. I hope it works out with the Bills. You have anything to add?
No, I think that we will continue to talk about these minority owners and what they mean. I'm sure maybe more information will come out about what they do and things like that. I don't have a ton of shout outs. More, I excited for college basketball season to start. So shout out for to all the college NCAA athletes that are starting their exhibition games these next few weeks and getting back in the swing of things. Really excited for that. And then my last wedding shout out to Garrett and Libby having the time of their lives in Italy right now. We had so much fun at your wedding. And we're excited to celebrate love forever, I guess.
Cool.
Can you tell my brain's turning off slightly? We're getting to 10:30 at night. My brain's a little tired.
Yeah, I feel you. So I got to shout out my Syracuse Orange again. A great win on Saturday. Basketball's getting ready to start. Men and women look good. Shouts out to Syracuse, still thriving in this NIL world. Shouts out to them. I think that there's shouts out to there were schools in Philly that were doing coat drives. Shouts out to them for doing coat drives. It's getting cold. These children that are, in the lower economic status need jackets. So shouts out to Philly charities and Jersey charities for doing that. Coat drives, big thing. So good enough for them. Shouts out to all the people getting close to, as Morgan knows, report card periods for these schoolers. Not college people, obviously, but the lower high school, middle, and elementary. So shouts out to y'all for almost being done with 2024 schooling and heading into 2025.
Yeah.
Crazy, I know.
College kids got midterms coming up. So
yeah, I know. And they're in fall break too. So yeah, shouts out to the college students for almost getting there. I don't miss midterms. I don't think Morgan does either.
Don't miss less.
Don't miss.
Honestly, I always preferred finals to midterms. Finals, at least, I felt like were more projects and anything like that. He's not him, she's not her. They aren't them segment. So I only have one this week. I have a he's not him. And I'm going first. I don't want you to steal him. The crazy Baltimore Ravens fan.
Oh yeah.
I'm decided to just go around the streets beating up random Washington fans. Who the F do you think you are? I'm glad that you are caught. I'm glad you got fired. I'm glad you're getting sued. What that is, again, not a you won also. Like, not a reasonable not a reasonable or a sane person. Obviously, I'm sure there's more going on there than we know, but not cool. Don't do that.
I thought you would make it Aaron Rodgers again, but okay.
No, I can't be Aaron Rodgers every week. It can't be that he can't take any responsibility. He goes on the Pat McAfee show and just can't take responsibility for maybe being a part of the reason why the Jets are losing. No, it's this man. I'm not even gonna say his name because he doesn't deserve that, but everyone knows who I'm talking about.
If you guys just Google Baltimore Ravens fan punching people, he's white, by the way. So like, if you just Google crazy white Baltimore Ravens fan, it'll come up.
You probably literally just Google Baltimore Ravens fan, and that will probably be the first thing that comes up right now.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, because it was such an insane story.
Yeah.
Kyle, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, I only have one as well because the he's and the she's were doing great this week. So my they aren't them. I mean, I gotta say, I hate saying this because I'm a part of both of these, but Philly sports and national media members for killing Nick Sirianni for doing what he does. I'm sure Morgan saw it. They probably talked about on PFT and Sims this week that he was giving it back to some Eagles fans who were chirping at him, and I'm not mad at that. That's what he is. I mean, my man beat the New York Giants.
The shaved head is not a good look.
I don't judge that. That's more for you to judge than me.
Not
he's 40. He's 43. I mean, he's in crisis mode. I guess. I mean, I don't know, but I mean,
you
like,
say that.
I mean, but this is a man that went up and beat. Morgan remembers this. Went up into the Giant Stadium, beat him, and was basically willing to fight the whole stadium all the way to the tunnel. So, like, I don't mind that, and I just really didn't like the fact that we had so many local and national media people.
I think it was more that they were chirping their own fans. I think was the issue.
Well, just him. Just to be fair to the players, just him. And I mean, this has nothing to do with that, but this is just a setup of that. Like, I honestly didn't think it was a big deal. I know some people did. Whatever. Like, let him be him. And the players said this, like, let him be him. Like, that's what makes Nick Sirianni great. That's what he does. He's in his 40s. He's a coach. He's gone to the Super Bowl. He's got a good record. So let him do him. Let him do what he has to do to be successful. But what I really got upset about, which made this day anthem for local and national media members, is that do your research, guys. Like, first and foremost, like, why are you killing Nick Sirianni for something that he does all the time? And Morgan knows exactly what I'm talking about. Because we've had a lot of national and local people spend these last couple of days talking about, oh, he brought his kids on to the press conference. Did he think he was going to get softball questions? First and foremost, I want you
to. He does that at every home win.
Every home and away win. His kids are at every game. Like, he brings his kids up. He did it at the Super Bowl. He's done it since he got here. Like, his kids have basically grown up at the press conferences, and it doesn't stop. Let me tell you, as a Philly media member, it is not his little girl and two little boys being there is not going to stop any real journalist from asking him a hard-hitting question. It didn't stop him on Sunday. So I don't know why this was such a big deal, especially there were local people who should know better, national people who don't know any better, who should be talking to their PAs or somebody to do some research on this, because this was a topic and it shouldn't have been, just like the chirping thing. It shouldn't have been like, whether you agree or disagree with him chirping his whole fans, he's been doing that since he's been a coaching in the NFL. Like, there are way bigger issues with the Eagles than him. He's just gonna wind up. I don't think he'll be fired this year, especially unless it collapses. But like, my day on them is to these media members and people who are just, don't do your research, man. I feel like I've sat here these last few weeks and said basically the same thing. Do your research before you waste your platform on something that you could have easily debunked, right? It does not matter that he brings his kids to the press conference. It does not matter that he was chirping some fans that were probably drunk and deserved to be chirped at anyway. Like, they won the game. That's all that matters. The Eagles keep getting steadily better, and that's all that matters. I really don't care that he chirps the fans. Like, he's chirping the fans, and I heard more smoke about that than David Tepper fighting a fan in Pittsburgh last year. Like, I think, who was it? Only PFT talked about that than us. Like, do better, y'all. Like, there's way more embarrassing stuff going on in football than Nick Sirianni chirping fans and bringing his kids to a press conference. Like, it does not matter. He makes millions of dollars. I know a lot of y'all don't like him because he rubs y'all the wrong way because he's a chatty Italian, but it does not really matter. Let him be him.
Yeah.
Morgan?
All right. That's it. We are done. 2.5 hours. We did it. Final thoughts. Thanks you guys so much for sticking around with us. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, share, do all the fun stuff. Like we said, so always feel free to reach out on Twitter or Instagram or whatever if you have anything you want us to talk about. Enjoy this week. There's so much sports. Enjoy the WNBA finals. Enjoy the NCLS, the ACLS. Enjoy the let's see what else we got. Week 6 football. We got week 7 college football. We got the NHL starting this week. So just enjoy. There's so much sports. Anything you could possibly want is starting.
It starts on Tuesday, y'all. Prepare for the inundation. Along with the football. So yeah, so it's great. A great time. I want to let Morgan and I go off and get our snacks and food. So thank y'all so much for tuning in, whether you're watching right now or watching later. Thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend. Hopefully we will see you either probably Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday next week. I don't know. Morgan's schedule will work that out, but or Wednesday next week. So see y'all later. Have a good one. Peace out.